Hello, and welcome to The Pool is Abstract, where we're currently rewatching and dissecting the revived series of Doctor Who, episode by episode. Once again, my name is Connor, and with me today is not Charlotte. It's somebody else. Go on, introduce yourself.
Yeah, I am Rob.
You are Rob.
I am Rob, and I'm taking over because this was my first ever Doctor Who episode, pretty much.
Yeah, it was. So I actually believe, I know you've not listened to it yet, but I think we do actually mention you.
Oh, okay.
In the episode for Dalek that just went up yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Because you know when they land in the museum and they look and the Doctor's looking at the Cyberman helmet?
Yes.
And I said, I don't actually know what story that's from, but I bet Rob could tell me.
I think that's Revenge of the Cybermen.
I knew it.
It's either, it might be the Invasion, actually. That would make more sense.
I knew you'd be able to tell me. So Rob is my friend who is probably the one person I know who knows more about the show than I do.
Well, I mean, I know.
You're going to try and be humble, but you know it's the truth.
Well, there's humble and then there's just being a right nerd, so, you know.
Yeah, so today we are covering the Christmas Invasion.
Yeah.
So Charles not here. To be honest, I don't think she's that sad about it because I don't think she's that much of a fan of this episode. I wanted to get you on anyway, the show, because you get two Doctor Who nerds talking to each other in a room and that could go on for hours anyway. But I know as this was your first episode, this has like a significance to you.
Yeah.
In the same way that The Unquiet Dead has for me.
Yeah.
So this was an episode I thought would be good to have you on anyway. So the fact that Charles was just going to sit this one out just kind of worked out nice.
Nice. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I think before we actually get into anything relating to the episode, what me and Charles did when we covered Rose was just kind of talk about our relationship with the show.
Oh, okay.
So obviously, I know you said this was your first episode.
Yeah.
Had you watched any classic Who before this one?
No. This was basically my first ever episode of Doctor Who. I think I've got like a very hazy memory of I wouldn't be channel scrolling, but my parents might have been, and seeing Slitheen running through Downing Street and going, what the hell was that? In World War III. But
was it the CGI shot?
It was the CGI shot, which
oh, no.
It didn't like strike me as like, oh, that's terrible. But
I guess you would have been, 6?
I would have been, what was that? It was after April the 9th, wasn't it? Because that's The Unquiet Dead came out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it would have been 6, just turned 6. And I've got a hazy memory of seeing that and wondering maybe, what is that? But
yeah, okay. So the Christmas Invasion was your first episode.
Yes.
And then what? You watched Series 2 live as it came out?
Yeah, straight from New Earth then onwards.
Cool.
Didn't miss an episode until...
Come on, where did you fall off?
I've never fallen off. I've always watched it, but I watched every episode bang on time.
Okay.
Up until, it's so sad that I can remember it was the Sontaran stratagem.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You got like halfway through Series 4 without missing an episode?
Yeah, I had a sleepover and I wasn't allowed to watch it.
Oh, so, gutting.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Really sad that that's a core memory, I think, for me. You know, oh no, I've missed a Doctor Who character.
Yeah.
That's my character out the window.
So I think you know more about Doctor Who than I do. I think we're pretty close for New Who, but you definitely have like a advantage when it comes to the classic series. You've seen most of it. I know you're missing a couple of 60s stories, right?
Yeah, I think it's just the 60s stories and...
Everything from Pertwee onwards you've seen then?
Except the Twin Dilemma, which...
Oh, really?
I don't want to watch it from the sounds of it. It doesn't sound very good, so...
Okay. So obviously when it comes to like classic Who, obviously... You are way far and above me. I'm making my way through it for the first time now. I've just started Pertwee. So, you know, Tom Baker is like the guy.
Yeah.
And then everything I have from him onwards, I've not seen. So, except for I watched Pyramids of Mars.
Pyramids of Mars, yeah.
But that's it. So I think it'll be interesting to see in future whether you pull more comparisons to the classic show that I would have absolutely no context for.
Well, I think what's quite good about this one is, you know, new Doctor. I think you mentioned you've just seen Spearhead from Space.
Yes.
I think, you know, quite an interesting comparison between the two.
Yeah, obviously, yeah, because the Doctor's in bed for like the first...
He's in bed.
Yeah.
I remember distinctly a line from what Rose says, one drop of blood can change the entire history of the human race or whatever. And yet... in Spearhead from Space, they do all sorts to him, and it's absolutely fine. So yeah,
yeah, different morality. See,
yeah.
So I think that's about it for preamble. I just want to quickly talk about, obviously, the Christmas Invasion was the 2005 Christmas special.
Yep.
Where do you sit? Because I feel quite strongly about this. Where do you feel that this episode sits series-wise?
Oh, I'm glad I was going to bring this up.
Because I know on iPlayer, this is at the end of Series 1.
Yes.
This is after Parting of the Ways. I feel strongly that this is more like a prequel to Series 2.
It to me, it's Series 2.
And that's not just because it's the 10th Doctor, but that's because I feel like the Parting of the Ways is a very nice bookend to Rose. It's a very nice conclusion to that series, and this feels like it's setting up the future things rather than being something tacked on at the end of Series 1.
Yeah, I think this is definitely Series 2. I mean,
SO2EOX.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I watched the behind the scenes stuff, and it's got Doctor Who 2 written on it, so it's intended as Series 2.
Okay. So why does iPlayer have it at the end of Series 1?
I don't know, but then you could also technically ask, going further into the future, where do you class Christmas Carol, Series 5 or Series 6?
5.
Yes, but that's a bit different to this.
Yeah, I don't know why, because again, maybe it's because Series 6 is so... It's, again, because Series 6 is less Monster of the Week format, and it's more of an ongoing arc from The Impossible Astronaut up to The Wedding River Song.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why.
Yeah, I can see that.
But then again, I don't know, because I still think of The Doctor, the Wizard, and the Wardrobe as Series 6, not Series 7.
Agree.
This conversation is so sad already.
No, I know.
But yeah, obviously, the Christmas Invasion aired on December 25th, 2005. It's obviously the first Christmas special of the revival, which we would go on to have many of up until Mr. Chibnall took over and he made it the New Year's special.
Yeah.
It's not only the first Christmas special of the revival, but it's the first Christmas special since the Feast of Stephen.
Nice, yeah.
What a bad episode that is.
Yeah. It's not really a Christmas special. I think it's
an episode that happened to air on Christmas and has a weird...
Merry Christmas to you all at home.
Yeah, fourth wall breaking outro.
Yeah.
But yeah, also a touch of racism in it as well.
Oh, I can't really remember that, but maybe we should gloss over it.
It's so bad. It's really bad.
Oh, well, that's 60s. Early 60s Who.
Yeah. Obviously, once again, this one's written by Mr. Russell T. Davis. What does the T stand for?
It doesn't stand for anything, I don't think.
Oh, yeah, I read this in the rights tell, I swear.
I think
there was already a Russell Davis or something, wasn't
and then
there?
he added the T in, yeah. So
Russell the Davis.
Russell the Davis.
Yeah. So this is the first, well, I was going to say this is obviously the first full story, the first story to feature the 10th Doctor. I guess it's the first full story to feature the 10th Doctor.
It should have just been the first story to feature the 10th Doctor. Born Again, which I gather you're referencing.
Yes. Not a fan?
No.
No?
There's a nice little bit in it, maybe. So,
right, just to talk about Born Again.
Yeah.
Born Again is obviously Children in Need special, right?
That's the one.
I'm not sure when it aired. I assume you either know that or you have it written down somewhere.
I do not know when that aired, unfortunately, but
okay,
sometime in November.
Sometime before the Christmas Invasion. Born Again was a Children in Need special that aired, I assume, on BBC One. Might not have been. I just made that up.
I think it is, yeah.
It's only, 5 minutes, if that?
5 minutes, yeah. It's mainly made up of a previously on Doctor Who and just gives you like the last few minutes of Parting of the Ways.
Yeah, so you get the end of the Parting of the Ways, obviously, with the 9th Doctor regenerating into the new 10th Doctor. And it's essentially just the Doctor and Rose having an interaction before the beginning of the Christmas special.
Pretty much, yeah. It's Rose, obviously in the Christmas Invasion, Rose comes out of the TARDIS and is very sure, oh, that's the Doctor, by the way.
Yeah.
Born Again is kind of dealing with, well, what the hell just happened?
Yeah, it's I hesitate calling it a story.
Yeah.
It's more of just a conversation that we happen to witness.
It's a conversation, yeah. So she, first of all, thinks someone's teleported in the Doctor's place.
Yes.
And then also thinks he might be a Slitheen. Which is interesting, I guess.
Which goes to show she learnt nothing.
Yeah. I mean, I do quite like it, though, in terms of, normally a companion usually accepts the Doctor. Well, prior to this, you used to just go, oh, he has just changed his face. We're just going to get on with it now.
Yeah, it makes sense to me that she's going to be more, like, on the fence about it, but... I don't know. I think, again, there's a big thing, isn't there, in Aliens of London where, they make a deal about how the Slitheen are all big people.
Yeah.
Because even though the Slitheen have the the compression field or whatever from their like necklace, they still kind of have to pick bigger people.
Yeah.
So I love the thought that she just forgot all of that.
I think what's really interesting about that as well is obviously DT's checking himself out, being like, "Oh right, what's going on here?" And he explicitly says, "Lost a bit of weight," and then Rose's immediate thought is, "Oh, you must be a Slovene." No.
Yeah, he checks himself out. He says he's got a mole between
his shoulder blades.
Between his shoulder blades. He said he loves the mole.
Yeah, really bad skin as well, apparently.
Really? What?
Yeah, that's what he says. Oh, I've got really bad skin.
Does he? I'm not going to lie. I didn't watch Born Again before this, so I'm going off of pure memory.
Yeah, it's there's some nice moments in it where he proves that he is still the Doctor by saying, "When I first met you in the shop."
Yeah.
And I said, "Run." That's lovely.
Yeah.
The whole issue with the entire thing, though, is it hasn't got sound effects or proper sound effects anyway. So David Tennant's doing his old as he's like in pain from regeneration.
Yeah, and you don't get the little tinkle.
There's no tinkle, so it's just it feels incredibly awkward, and it's mixed.
It's like a stage play, isn't it?
It's mixed appallingly as well.
Yeah.
The music goes right over the top. Something that irks me very much is they're about to crash land, and a bell, like an alarm clock bell, goes off, not the cloister bell. Yeah. So I think if that's the first time viewers, meet David Tennant, what is that a bit too? I'm getting annoyed at a children in need special. Yeah.
Hey, remember the last children in need special?
What, Destination Scaro?
Yeah, remember Davros not being in a wheelchair anymore?
Oh yeah. I mean, I get what they're going for with it, but also, I have my own thoughts. I mean,
Why is it not the cloister bell?
Why is it not? Yeah. Yeah.
Oh god, this is so stupid.
Anyway.
Come on, did they have a really bad time crunch? I could put the cloister bell in now in 5 minutes. Why couldn't they do it?
I don't know. I
could take that audio clip and put that sound effect in immediately. It wouldn't take me any effort at all.
I can imagine maybe Russell didn't watch that before it went out.
You think he wasn't show running that one?
I don't think so. It was given to maybe somebody else, because knowing how, not maybe pedantic's not the right word, but knowing how he can be so particular about some things.
Yeah, obviously, I know Born Again was aired before the Christmas Invasion. Do you know if it was shot before the Christmas Invasion? Or was it shot after?
I think it was. Oh, I don't know. Actually,
because I just wonder, would this? Because I know, obviously, DT's part at the end of Parting of the Ways was shot like months after filming had wrapped.
Yeah.
Billy's not actually in the room with him. He's just kind of looking at a ball on a stick, like where Ryan Line would be. So I wonder, would this actually be David Tennant and Billy Piper's first scene together? Or would this have been wrapped after Series 2?
I'm not sure. It might have been. I don't think it was after Series 2. But
not after Series 1. After the end of the Christmas Invasion, at least. I'm curious as to when their first on-screen interaction would have been.
So the Christmas Invasion started filming in August 2005. So I think,
is this research or is this just you?
No, this is me watching the behind the scenes stuff.
Okay.
So
okay.
Yeah, it's not
like when every episode began filming.
Yeah, in the summer of 2005. So I don't know where this place is. It's like the 60th, like Destination Scaro. That was filmed after all of the 60th special. So
yeah,
it could have been anywhere, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's fair. Do you have any sort of preamble, anything you want to get into before we dive into the content of this episode?
Not really. I mean, I've made a note of like what's gone on around Doctor Who on that day. So what was it sandwiched between, just to kind of give you an idea of what Christmas 2005 was looking like?
Yeah, go on. Let's do that first.
Well, prior to Doctor Who, you had the Christmas special of My Family.
I've never seen an episode.
No, me neither. Well, I must have seen a bit of it.
I know it's popular. Isn't because I swear Charles brought this up during End of the World, because isn't Zoe Wanamaker in it?
Yeah, Zoe Wanamaker's in it, and Chris Marshall, the guy who was allegedly rumoured to play Doctor Number 13. I don't know if you remember that.
Chris Marshall. Name rings a bell. I can't picture it. I'm going to Google.
Oh, yeah. He was the guy that everybody said is going to be Doctor Who. He was on Death in Paradise, I think. And he's never even seen an episode, so a tenuous Doctor Who link there.
That guy.
Yeah.
I know his face. Yeah.
So that was prior to it.
He's in Love, actually.
He is, yes. He's the chef guy who goes to America and is just British over there, so...
Yeah.
Then Doctor Who aired at the time it should always air, in my opinion, 7 p.m. I think that's peak Doctor Who time.
Yeah, it's not happening this year.
Nope. This was it 5:10? Yeah, it's one of the earliest it's ever been. I'll still be eating my lunch by then, so.
Yeah.
And then it was followed by The Green Grass. I don't know if you remember that.
Again, it rings a... Wait, is that the Only Fools and Horses spin-off thing with Boise?
Boise, yeah, the Only Fools and Horses spin-off.
Yeah, I've never seen it, but I know of it.
Yeah, but so, I wouldn't call it classic Christmas TV.
It wasn't 2008.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
exactly.
God, that's so sad.
I know, it's sad. Well, this year is pretty good.
Yeah, we're getting
going.
it again. We're getting 2000. We've had one, yes. What about second 2008?
Yeah. Well, I just also made a note of what was on ITV's just to kind of give an idea what Doctor Who was up against.
Oh, yeah, go on.
So we had at 6 o'clock Emmerdale. at 7 o'clock, so directly opposite Doctor Who, Celebrity Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. I know which one I'd rather have been watching that day. Give me Chris Tarrant over the Christmas Invasion.
Do you know who the celebrities were on the episode?
I don't know. I didn't
Lackluster
do that.
research.
I know. I should have gone more in depth.
Yeah.
So that might come to explaining why Doctor Who did so well. 9.84 million viewers to watch the Christmas Invasion.
Pretty healthy.
You say that it is very healthy, but it is out of the 12 actual Christmas specials, it's the 8th highest. So
Of 12.
of 12. So quite low down.
Do you know how it did viewer-wise in comparison to everything in Series 1?
It got more. Than,
It got more than...
I don't think it got more than Rose, but I think it got more than pretty much everything else.
Yeah. I mean, Christmas specials are always kind of a surefire win, aren't they? 'Cause
Yeah.
you have... Maybe not so much today with the internet and everything being on demand and streaming, but like back then, even people who weren't really fans of the show, everyone gathers around TV at Christmas and just watches something together.
Yeah.
So I think that's just... I think the Christmas specials are always kind of doing quite well viewer-wise in comparison to the series that preceded, at least.
I think so. I think Church on Ruby Road, the most recent one that's obviously come out, that stayed quite consistent with the 60th specials, but we're in a bit of a different age now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, 8th highest. It's higher than The Runaway Bride, which...
Is it?
Yeah, I found that quite interesting.
That surprises me, because I'd have thought Catherine Tate...
Yeah. Would have...
That 2006
Yes.
would have been pretty peak Catherine Tate show, wouldn't it?
You'd think so. I think, Ending Doomsday on what they end it on is meant to be like a big, oh, wow, it's Catherine Tate and Doctor Who. But no, it only by like 0.5 million. It's not,
So that still surprises me, though.
Yeah. But it's lower than all of the Matt Smiths, which is quite interesting.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I guess that's just a testament to how many people watched it is not indicative of how good it is.
No. But also, Doctor Who and Viewing Figures, that's the one program people are actually... it's gone down.
Yeah. Even though, again, like we said, like the way that the industry's changed and like, hardly anyone watches it live on BBC One anymore.
Yeah.
And I know they try their best to incorporate like iPlayer streaming figures and stuff, but it's like, it's not a great science.
No.
Not everyone watches it that way.
No.
Obviously, people abroad watch it like through Disney Plus or whatever.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, they're just worried about it being cancelled again.
Yeah.
It? And who knows? Who knows what the future holds? The only other thing I'd really say about it was they knew before Series 1 that they were going to be doing a Christmas special. And while they were filming this one, they then got commissioned for a second Christmas special in 2006. So they knew they'd definitely be doing two. Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Are there any like through lines? Does this set anything up for the next group? I don't think it does.
No, not really. I don't think so. I think, well, other than Donna missing it by being wherever she is, Barbados or wherever.
Wait, we're going to Barbados. Okay, so anything else?
No, I think that's it in terms of preamble.
Right, so if we're going to get straight into the episode, so obviously our cold open, we get the TARDIS. No, so it actually opens, doesn't it, with Jackie in the flat, and she's
after the same shot that we get from Rose.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah. We get the shot of the Earth in space hanging over the left, and then we get the dramatic zoom, but instead of into the alarm clock, it's
a bauble.
It's a Christmas bauble, and Jackie's wrapping presents. Mickey's in a garage across the road.
Yeah, listening to Slade.
Slade, again. Is that the only Christmas song they have the license to?
I think so. I mean...
Because they use it like every year.
Oh, they did use Merry Christmas Everyone by Shakin' Stevens in Church on Ruby Road. So maybe
how many times have you watched The Church on Ruby Road?
I've watched it. So I watched it twice last year. Once on Christmas Day, once after, and then I've watched it once prior.
I watched it on release and I've not seen it since.
Oh, okay. What? Don't you want to listen to that Goblin song?
No, I don't. I tell you what, I listen to Doctor Who music on Apple Music quite consistently, and going on to Murray Gold's page and seeing that's always like the top featured song because that's like his most recent single is very upsetting.
No, it's great. What are you talking about?
So bad.
He's the Goblin King, man.
Oh, God. Yeah, so Jackie's wrapping presents, Mickey's in the garage, and they hear the signature whirring of our favourite time machine.
Yes.
They obviously run up to the same corner of the power estate that the TARDIS always seems to land on. And the TARDIS kind of materializes in the air whilst spinning.
Yes, and I think the first bit where it actually comes down is actually a pretty good CGI shot.
I agree. Yeah, I think even the section where it actually like lands and it kind of like skids across the floor and it knocks the bin over.
Yeah,
that's pretty good because you'd think being CGI they do that in afterwards, but they obviously had to knock the bins over. To do it.
You would think that. I mean, a lot of it was CGI, but the bit where it actually goes over Mickey and Jackie's head, that was a practical piece of TARDIS that they.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
they just have the base.
Yes,
right.
Russell and Julie Gardner and Phil Collinson mentioned that in their extraordinary commentary that they do. So
you said that's available on YouTube now, right?
Yeah, I can't remember the name of the channel, but
I'm sure it's not hard to find.
No, just type in Doctor Who commentaries, and all of the ones that were released around that time will come up. Yeah, that's something we're missing. I know we've got like the InVision commentary stuff now, but only for certain episodes. I think hearing one for every episode again would be great.
Yeah. I do like that because quite a lot of shows now, especially the big shows like on HBO.
Yeah,
like the creators. I listened to the one for Chernobyl and then the one that Craig Mazin did with for The Last of Us, and it's quite fun to like watch the episode once a week and then immediately go over to like Spotify or whatever you listen to your podcasts on and just listen to the creators and the actors like talking about it for like an hour.
Yeah, I mean it's always interesting, but anyone involving Russell T Davies and Julie Gardner and Phil Collinson, I think, is always going to be very funny.
Yeah. And
then you add David Tennant into the mix as well. I mean, we're not going to get that anymore, but if them three could do it again, that would be great.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. So, obviously, based on the context of seeing Jackie with the presents and everything, we've worked out that it's kind of Christmas time. I think it's Christmas Eve specifically.
With an incredibly tacky Christmas tree, I have to say. White Christmas tree. Not a fan.
Not a fan?
I mean, it fits with the Tyler's vibe, I think, but...
You think the Tylers are tacky?
Yes.
I said, didn't I, that like, hasn't Jackie worn that outfit for the last like 2 years in the show? Yeah. So they, like I said, the TARDIS kind of materializes, it like crashes into the building. It crash lands. The Doctor, now in his 10th incarnation, pops out.
Well, yeah. I was just going to mention, he doesn't just crash into a building, he crashes into a post van.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't see what happened. The postman's not coming out going, what have you done to my van?
No, he's dead.
He's killed the postman.
He's killed the postman. He's killed Pat.
Yeah. He's murdered Pat.
Yeah. The 10th Doctor pops out. He kind of grabs, like very aggressively grabs Mickey and Jackie's shoulders.
Feels like he's going for the pressure point.
He does, yeah. He's doing his like Vulcan nerve. He's doing his Venusian Aikido.
Yeah, hidden arms.
Yeah. And he says something like, "Oh, I've got something really important to tell you. Can't remember what it was. Oh yeah, I remember. Merry Christmas."
Yeah.
And he just passes out. Rose pops her head out. Obviously, Jackie's like, "Who's this? Where's the Doctor?" She says, "That's the Doctor."
Oh God.
Jackie says,
"Doctor Who."
Doctor Who.
Wow.
And then we get the camera just kind of push in on DT.
Yeah.
And then we get the titles.
Yeah.
One more time, best opening titles.
Definitely.
I will say it every episode. After the titles, again, just kind of nice seeing David Tennant's name in the credits for the first time.
Yeah.
Still have the silver logo.
Oh, it's not pretty.
It's quite unpleasant to look at, isn't it?
Yeah.
I can't wait for Smith and Jones, man. Actually, is it Smith and Jones or is it the Runaway Bride?
I think it's the Runaway Bride. I think there's a few firsts in the Runaway Bride.
Is there? Okay.
Specifically how the TARDIS is lit as well. But I'm sure you'll get onto that when you talk about the Runaway Bride.
Yeah.
Or maybe you won't. It's quite a niche thing to talk about, I guess.
Yeah. So after the titles, we cut to we're inside Jackie's flat. The doctor's been tucked into bed. He's wearing Howard's pajamas.
Now Howard. Yes, this is something I've prepared slightly earlier. So
here's one I made earlier.
Pretty much, yeah. Jackie, has mentioned Howard.
Yes.
But she's had multiple relationships.
Yes, she has.
Allegedly. I was wondering how many of them could you name?
Oh, God. Oh, no, oh, God. Right. So
And I spent way too much time on this.
How many are there?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 that I found that were mentioned.
Is that just in series 1?
No. I've
Have you got them in order?
No.
Okay. I just want to know, is Howard how many before Howard are there? Because it's been a while since I've seen series 2.
I think there's 2 mentioned before Howard.
Okay. So there's the guy in Parting of the Ways that owes her a favour with a truck.
Yes. I nearly give that away.
Begins with an R.
It does.
Like Rodrigo.
That's it, yeah. What kind of favour do you think Jackie owes Rodrigo? Just out of curiosity. Maybe not speculate.
This is a clean podcast.
Okay.
I have to tick a box to make sure it's not explicit on Spotify.
Okay, it can just be like RTD's writing, just slightly suggestive.
Yeah, slightly suggestive.
Okay.
A few innuendos.
Nice.
Yeah. So was it Rodrigo?
Rodrigo, yeah.
Okay. And there's one before that?
Very tenuously mentioned, but yeah.
Oh, is it the guy in Aliens of London? She says, asked her out.
I can't believe you've got that, yeah. If you remember this name, that is sad. I had to go back and watch Aliens of London to get
Oh,
this.
man. What's his name?
Guess who asked me out?
Yeah, I know. I can remember like the cadence at which she says it. I just can't remember the name. I was going to say Billy Shipton, but I'm like,
You've got the right first name.
It is Billy.
It's Billy.
And so Billy Shipton's from Blink, isn't he?
Yes, he is, yeah.
Billy. So it's Billy something. Billy. Well, that's clearly why it came into my head. I remembered Billy.
Yeah.
Billy. I don't know. Give it to me.
Billy Crew.
Billy. I wouldn't have got that.
That's okay. I can tell you the next one is mentioned in The Idiot's Lantern.
Idiot's Lantern? Is Jackie in The Idiot's Lantern?
This person doesn't have a name, but it's...
Okay. Is this something Rose says in passing, like about her mum having relations with someone?
Yes.
Okay.
What do you think the occupation of this person was that she had a passing relation?
Oh, God. Occupation.
I bet she did.
God, it's been I don't like The Idiot's Lantern. I try not to watch it. Oh, man. I don't know. Give it to me.
It's a sailor from the Navy.
That makes so much sense.
Union flag.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I mean, you've technically forgotten one from series 1, which is probably Jackie's biggest relationship, to be fair.
Jackie's biggest relationship? I mean, you see me, I'm not just talking about Pete.
I'm talking about Pete.
Okay.
Yeah. There's
probably your biggest relationship.
There's another one in series 2, which I don't know if it really counts as a relationship, but I mean, something kind of happens, I guess.
In series 2?
Yeah.
Oh, you know about Elton?
Elton, yes.
Yeah, Elton Pope.
Obviously, we've mentioned Howard.
Yes.
And there's one more.
Can you give me the episode?
The End of Time Part 2.
Oh, I know. Yeah. It's when she's walking with Rose, isn't it? And she says, like, I'm getting on a bit now, something like that. And then Rose says, like, don't be like that. I can't remember the name, though.
Jimbo.
Oh, Russell loves Jimbo, doesn't
Jimbo,
he?
yeah. The robot wobbly yonder. He's Jimbo, isn't he?
Yeah, he's Jimbo's also what the Ninth Doctor calls the little spider robots in The End of the World.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, I can't believe you got Billy Crew.
I didn't get Crew.
Well, you got Billy.
I got Billy.
And the episode, which is just mad.
Yeah, because I remember me and Charles talked about that, and we said that it's kind of wild. I mentioned it, but I said it's kind of wild that obviously Rose has been missing for a year, and there's this big dramatic scene about like, where were you? Why can't you tell me where you've been and everything? And then next time we come back to the flat, it's like every time we come back, there's more and more people in the flat, and Jackie's just like all of a sudden over it now. And Rose is sat on the couch. Everyone's around. You think it'll be like, oh my God, Rose, you're back. And Jackie's just like, oh, you never guess who asked me out.
Yeah, there's a lady that she said, you never guess who asked me out, while this woman just ranting at Rose, going like, where have you been? Like,
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the Christmas invasion.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. That was fun. Yeah, so where were we? The Doctor is lying in bed. He's in Howard's pajamas.
Yeah.
Howard, again, just one of Jackie's man friends.
Yeah.
This is when Rose and Jackie kind of have this back and forth about how the Doctor's obviously got a new face. Jackie asks, like, is he the same man with a new face or is he a different man altogether? Rose is like, how am I supposed to know? She listens for his hearts with the stethoscope. Obviously says, yeah, both still working.
Yeah.
What do you mean both? He's got two hearts. What she say? Like, oh, don't be silly. Anything else he's got two of?
Well, I mean, yeah, he's got two hands. I'm sure that's what Russell meant. Like,
yeah. Two eyes, yeah. He is.
He'd never be so
Yeah.
innuendo.
The thing is, I know me and Charles have spoken about this a couple of times, but the difference between Russell and Stephen's innuendos,
Oh, God.
I feel like Russell's are a lot more clever.
I love Russell's. I mean, I like some of Stephen's, but...
I do as well, but I feel like Stephen's come at the expense of tone sometimes, where Russell's not only fit in better with the tone of the episode, but also completely went over my head as a kid that I then listened to as an adult and thought, oh my God, I get it. Where Moffat's, even as like a 12-year-old, I understood what he was trying to do.
I'm quite the screamer.
Oh man,
Jesus
River's just
Christ.
a walking innuendo, isn't she?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, so Rose and Jackie leave the room and the Doctor kind of like sighs, exhales, and we get this little wisp of regeneration energy come out of his mouth.
You would think that's what you would call it, but as Russell called it, he calls it Time Lord Essence.
I don't like that.
No, I don't like that. It sounds horrible, doesn't it? But so yeah,
Time Lord Essence.
yeah, coming out of his mouth.
Why would he call it that?
I don't. Well, you know,
Oh God.
horrible.
Is regeneration energy and Artron energy the same thing?
I don't think so. I think
Artron energy is like the TARDIS is like, it's like the heart of the TARDIS, isn't it? That's Artron energy.
yeah, it's like I think Ultron energy is more to do with
Time.
and
Yeah. Because they look the same, don't they? Visually, they look the same.
Oh, I mean, I could be really nerdy now.
Oh, go on.
I mean, in the Sarah Jane Adventures, they mention Artron energy in the Wedding of River song, and Clyde Langer gets like Artron energy from like touching something, and it's like electric blue. So I guess that's not
Right. That does not match up with.
no. It doesn't match up with the.
No,
heart side.
let's rant about Doctor Who continuity.
Oh, don't no.
So then we cut to obviously Rose and Jackie are now back in the living room. They flick on the TV. Oh, they talk and the TV's on in the background.
Yes.
Jackie's talking to Rose and Rose gets distracted by the TV because Harriet Jones is now Prime Minister and she's on television giving a press conference with Daniel Llewellyn, who is the project director for Guinevere 1, which is a space probe that Britain are launching into space for some reason. And it's about to land on Mars. Yeah. Obviously noteworthy. Obviously, Harriet showed up in Aliens of London, World War III. She was the MP for Floridale North.
Now Prime Minister.
Now Prime Minister. Yes.
Yeah.
I know who she is.
I mean, Penelope Wilton. Just RTD. She is brilliant in this, and you know, I'm sure we'll get onto that ending scene.
Yeah.
But she was the one actress that Russell specifically wrote. A character for her, basically.
Oh, really?
From series 1. Nobody else was like wrote for in terms of he didn't have an actor role in mind.
So I guess with everyone else, they were casting for the role already written.
Yeah.
But he was envisioning her, I assume, whilst writing the script.
And she didn't know she was coming back either. So she wasn't like signed to do the Christmas special or anything.
But he still wrote anyway, without her being signed.
They took her to dinner apparently, and basically begged her to come back.
That's his move, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've read the writer's tale, and I know he does that. He takes everyone to dinner,
Yeah.
tries to convince them to do stuff.
Yeah, but apparently she was
bet
down
he's a
for
flirt.
it. Oh yes, I mean RTD could definitely put the flirt on. I'm sure.
Yeah. She's great in this episode, though.
Really good. That scene where she's filming, you know, the press conference kind of thing, and later on in the Queen's speech, that was the first thing that was actually filmed for the episode as well.
I guess that makes sense. You don't need anybody else on there for that.
Yeah.
So then we cut to a shop space and we can see the Guinevere 1 space probe and it gets swallowed up by what looks like a rock. But once we get the reveal of like a long shot, it's kind of revealed to be a
CGI mess, yeah. Oh, sorry, yeah. A spaceship.
Yeah. So now Rose and Mickey are out going Christmas shopping.
In the heart of Cardiff.
London. Carden. Yeah. Rose is doing her usual thing of making Mickey feel like crap by just talking about the Doctor and the TARDIS and all her adventures.
Yeah, and I like the fact, he calls her out for it. Just shut up, it's Christmas.
Yeah, because she does this in Boomtown, doesn't she?
Yeah.
When she's going on about like woman wept and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's a nice little follow through.
Yeah, but Mickey's clearly developed enough, because I think the parting of the ways is the story. Because at the end of Boomtown, Mickey's still clearly a bit sore.
Oh, yeah.
That she keeps abandoning him for the Doctor.
Yeah.
But by the time Parting of the Ways comes around, I think he finally accepts this is his relationship to her, and he's kind of okay with it. He's not like... He's obviously... If he had his way, this wouldn't be what he would pick, but I think he's less bitter towards Rose and the Doctor now. So I think even though he stands up for himself now, and he's a bit like, can you basically stop talking about the Doctor and the TARDIS? It doesn't come from this place of like jealousy anymore. I think it's more just like, can we just talk about something else?
Yeah, I think we'll get onto it, but the last line he says is, "You're not going to stay, are you?" And it's not jealousy anymore. It's just disappointment.
Yeah,
he's resigned to that fact.
I love Mickey's journey throughout. Maybe the character he turns into in series 4 was maybe a bit far.
Yeah,
but I think his journey from Rose to Doomsday
makes sense.
I think is a really good character progression, a really nice arc.
Yeah. What I also like about the scene is obviously they're filming outside Howells in Cardiff.
Yes.
And if you actually look in the window, you can see Henrik's, because that's obviously what it's
can you?
A little bit disappointed they don't put a CGI shot of the top of it like being rebuilt because of the explosion. But
Did you get a similar thing soon?
Yes. Well, I'm sure we'll come on to that. But yeah, a nice little bit of attention to detail there that they've put that in the windows, I guess.
Yeah. Oh man, I love those little attention to the details. So Rose and Mickey are out going Christmas shopping anyway, and whilst they're walking through the markets that I happen to be walking down coincidentally literally like 3 hours ago myself, they're attacked by a group of masked Santas. They're like a brass band playing, and then one of them, like the trombone, is like a flamethrower. Yeah. The other one's got like a trumpet that's like firing grenades.
Yeah, the trumpet's grenades, and I think one of them's firing mortars, I think.
Yeah. So obviously everyone's panicking and running away. Mickey's like, why are they shooting at us? Yeah. And Rose essentially realizes they're not, there's nothing special about us except for what we've got tucked away in bed.
Yeah, well, I guess so.
Yeah, I think this is a good example of Rose actually being quite switched on. Because I feel like in general, in comparison to companions like Martha, like Clara, I think Rose is often, I think of her as being a bit dumber, a bit less intelligent, a bit less switched on. But this goes to show that she's not stupid.
Yeah. Like
she is able to work things out, and she doesn't. I think the problem that Clara has is Clara puts so much emphasis on her own self-importance, where Rose kind of has a similar thing to Donna, where maybe not quite as self-loathing, but Rose doesn't think there's anything special about herself, but she's able to work out that they're after him through association.
I agree, I think, up to a point. It's one of my notes that I made, that especially when she's in the spaceship later on and obviously does that whole thing, Shadow Proclamation. Yeah. But she's not sure of herself.
She's not confident.
But she's putting braveness on. But what I did mention was she's not as... I think in Series 2, Rose becomes a bit...
annoying.
I don't know if annoying is the right word, but...
It is.
I mean, I love Rose. She's one of my favourite companions.
It's not Rose herself as a character that's annoying, it's her and Ten's dynamic. Yeah. I feel like it gets a bit... maybe not annoying, but tiresome. It's a bit grown-worthy to watch how cutesy they are sometimes.
And how...
You know when you have that new couple that's together and you can't help but feel like, get a room, guys? Series 2 is like that.
It is a bit like that, but I think it's also her jealousy, like especially with like Sarah Jane.
Yeah.
When she comes along, obviously you get to that, but
she gets very bitter, doesn't she?
And any woman that even looks at her sexy new Doctor, it's just...
except for Renette.
Yeah, I can't actually think of a moment where she's going to slap Renette in the face, I guess, but...
Yeah, I'm surprised she's as okay with that as she is. It's almost as if Russell didn't write that one.
Oh, good point. Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah, but I think in this one she's very much still the Rose from Series 1. And
yes, yeah.
Which makes sense because, she hasn't really had anything.
I mean, this literally is following on mere moments after the end of the parting of the ways.
Yeah.
There's no, because sometimes in between series you get the impression that maybe a couple of weeks have passed.
Yeah.
But this is literally picking up right after.
Yeah.
So yeah, she literally is the same person she was at the end of that story. But yeah, so she realizes that they're obviously after the Doctor, so they grab a taxi.
And one thing Russell brings up here, and I completely agree with him, and it's something that annoys me with TV as well. They get in the taxi and don't tell the taxi driver where they're going. So
I assume the taxi driver saw the explosions and was like, I'm getting out of here.
Maybe.
He does stop for them, though.
Exactly. He drives straight to the power estate, and it's just like, you haven't said where you're going.
Yeah. That's something, yeah, because the Doctor hops in a taxi in the Star Beast, but he has to at least tell them where to go.
Yeah. It's just...
Yeah.
It is a frustrating part of TV when they just do that.
Yeah, it's like when people hang up on like flip phones without saying goodbye.
Yeah.
When people talk to people and they just go, yeah, all right, cool. And then they just like hang up.
That's not how normal people talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know. I don't know, a lot of that could be influenced by the fact of, you know, Russell is a good writer, and obviously he recognises, I mean, he even said that, but his timing, and I guess, you know, maybe I shouldn't be so pedantic about these things and just get on with the
Doctor
episode.
Who fans, pedantic.
No, never.
Yeah, so once they get home, Rose notices that the Christmas tree has changed.
Because you wouldn't notice that incredibly awful tacky Christmas tree.
You say that, but I genuinely said to you while we watched it just now, I wouldn't have noticed.
It looks like it's just come from like a grand hotel.
If I saw them side by side, I would obviously notice they're different. I'm not saying they look the same, but I feel like in that instance where I just come in, I was like, oh my god, I've just nearly just been terrorized. I don't think I would have noticed the different Christmas tree.
Also, how did they? So Jackie says it arrived at the door. What, fully built, or like what happened there?
Was it one of the robot Santas that delivered it?
Yeah, were they walking upstairs with it in
just
hand?
Not saying a word.
Did they send it up remote control and it just like walked up the stairs?
Yeah, you know how it spins? It was like a helicopter over the balcony.
I think that should have been in the episode.
That's the deleted scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the tree comes to life essentially, and it starts spinning, like say, like a rotor, like a helicopter blade, and it's spinning towards them. Mickey tries to like fend it off with a chair, and he's like kind of pushing it towards it. And the Christmas tree is essentially shredding everything in its path. It tears a chunk out of the wall. It destroys the chair. Mm-hmm. They run for cover in the bedroom that the Doctor's in.
Yeah.
Jackie kind of cowers.
Yeah.
And says, I'm going to get killed by a Christmas tree.
Brilliant line. You know,
her delivery is so good. I love her so much.
Oh, yeah.
The way...
Slickeen.
Yeah, it's
Christmas
the thing.
tree.
It's the Slickeen. And she does the little robot arms.
I mean...
She's so good.
Both the writing and Camille Kajuri, I think, are both brilliant for Jackie Tyler. Yeah, and obviously Murray Gold's playing Jingle Bells.
Yeah, yes.
Which apparently... the reason they used that is because it was just out of copyright. So Murray Gold...
Oh, did it enter the public domain, did it?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
So Murray Gold excitedly rung up Russell T Davies and was just like, I can use Jingle Bells. So he just shoved it in.
Yeah, do it. Yeah. That's great. Yeah. It's funny we talk about like public domain and rights and stuff, because I said to you when we were watching the episode, when Mickey's in the garage at the beginning and Slade is playing, I said, is it just me, or is this the only Christmas song they have the rights to? Because I swear every Christmas special this song is playing and never any other one.
Yeah, either that or they, you know, like
or
a boy did the damned, they have to write their own.
Yeah, sometimes they like Murray writes something for the score, or it's kind of just, it's not like a pop song, but it's just kind of a generic like carol or something like that. But yeah, Jackie's cowering in the corner. They're all thinking they're going to die. Rose essentially puts the Sonic in the Doctor's hands, and did you say help me?
Yeah, help us, and then he springs up very quickly.
Yeah, he springs up, points the Sonic at the tree, and
it explodes.
yeah. I was trying to think of a more eloquent way to put it, but yeah, it blows up.
It blows up in all of their faces.
Yeah, he disintegrates it with the Sonic, and he very promptly hops out of bed. He goes outside to see who was controlling it, because he works out it was remote controlled, and this is when we see the Santas outside, standing there very ominously,
but also with human hands.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah,
don't say that.
Yeah, they don't have any gloves on. So
oh no!
These human hands,
because they have gloves in The Runaway Bride, don't they?
Well, that's one of them nerdy questions I was going to ask you. Which robot Santa pilot fish do you prefer?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because I swear the Runaway Bride that's driving the taxi that has Donna trapped, I swear he's wearing gloves because his hands are on the steering wheel.
He's wearing black gloves, yeah.
Yeah.
But these ones, they've just
I've
got
never
human hands.
noticed that.
Yeah.
Oh, God. No.
Yeah.
Oh, that's ruined my day.
Merry Christmas, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, they're done very well. Like, that bit with the face mask comes off initially, and it's like, ooh, we're not seeing what's under there. What does that look like? Russell T Davies hates them.
Does he?
That's why they got redesigned in The Runaway Bride. Because you know they got like these bolts on the side of it.
Yeah.
He thinks they look too drawn on, and like they don't actually look like they're proper bolts or anything.
I
like
guess.
that. Again, you can tell he's a Doctor Who fan if he's being that pedantic.
Yeah.
But I think I agree. I prefer The Runaway Bride because them faces are just a little bit more.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, but they're all standing there very ominously. Like, have you seen Us, the Jordan Peele movie?
Is that the one with like everybody? No, I'm thinking of something where they're smiling. That's not the right one, is it?
No, Us is the one where everyone has like doppelgangers and they wear like red jumpsuits.
That rings a bell, maybe.
Yeah, there's a shot where the family essentially look outside the window and they see themselves standing in.
Oh yes,
like shadows in like silhouette at the end of the driveway. It kind of reminds me of that, where they're just standing there very like ominously.
Yeah.
So the Doctor essentially points his sonic at them, kind of threateningly. I don't know what he intends to do. Well, I suppose if they're machines, he can destroy them. I guess
So, but he scares them away with it. And Mickey quite rightly says, "How rubbish are they?"
Yeah. So he points the sonic at them and they transmat away. The Doctor says that they're pilot fish. And then he kind of collapses. He looks very in pain.
Oh, the greatest! It's the greatest scene in the episode.
Do you know what? This is one of the few moments of Doctor Who where I can remember watching it. I can remember because most of the time, obviously, being a family show, I used to watch it with my parents.
Yeah.
But this is one of the few moments where I can remember my parents' reaction, and I remember my dad cackling.
It was
and laughing his head off during this moment where he's going, I need, and Jackie's like, what do you need? You need ibuprofen,
vitamin A, vitamin E.
Yeah, something simple. Soup. You need soup. He goes, I need you to shut up. That's remember my dad.
That much.
I remember my dad laughing at that moment.
Really
That's
good.
like ingrained in my head back in Christmas 2005.
And of course, we get our set of having some fruit in Howard's pocket.
Yes, so it's an apple first, right?
It's an apple, yeah.
Yeah, so he's got an apple. And I love how, like, you'd think that'd be like a throwaway line, but they spend a good, like, 20 seconds on it.
It's Mavity all over again.
It is, yeah. Because he says, like, he pulls it out and he's like, there's an apple in my dressing gown. She's like, oh, that's Howard's. And he goes,
He eats in his sleep?
Yeah, he goes, he gets hungry. Yeah. In your sleep? Sometimes. Yeah. Yeah, he says he's having a neural implosion because they woke him up too soon.
He's having some flim flam.
Neural implosion is technobabble for I'm EP.
Yeah.
Yeah. So last thing he says to Rose is something, if the pilot fish here, that means something bigger is coming. And then he loses consciousness again and
starts sweating in the bed.
Oh, he's very sweaty,
Very
isn't
sweaty.
he? Oh, he looks very ill.
Yeah, and I think it's something you come on to when, he actually turns up later, but I love how the Doctor's used in this story. And, like, considering this is the first time... you described it as Dr. Light earlier.
Yeah.
I slightly agree, but I think the way that's how I want to see... Because you're wanting to see the Doctor in this.
Yeah, I guess it's similar, again, because we were talking about earlier, well, it was actually while we were recording, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was it? When you compared it to Pertwee? Were we recording that?
I don't know.
I can't remember. But yeah, I think you're right. It is similar to Pertwee because obviously with Spearheads from Space, the Doctor spends a good portion of it in bed. And you have this eagerness and this anxiousness to see him in action.
Yeah.
Not even necessarily to vanquish the threat, but you just want to see what he's like. You want to see him do his thing.
Yeah.
So you kind of this whole time you're like, oh, come on, get up. You just like
I really
it kind of it puts you in Rose's position. I think, like, just get up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really cool to do that. But it is interesting, isn't it, that the Doctor's the 10th Doctor's first episode is essentially a Dr. Light episode.
Kind of, yeah.
Because that's why even though this is his first episode, I always think of New Earth as his first episode, even though it's not. But it's like,
yeah, well, I'm sure we'll get onto it.
So I think it's because obviously not only does he spend half of this episode asleep, well, more than half, but then when he's actually up, he's so like all over the place. It's like he doesn't know who he is yet. Where I feel like New Earth is the first time you get the 10th Doctor that we know.
I think he's more sure of himself, but I think we'll obviously come onto that scene, but you get who I get who he is straight away from his first interaction with the Sycorax leader, but we'll get onto that later, I think.
Yeah. So this is when, rather unrealistically, we get the first signal from Guinevere 1 being broadcast live on TV.
What a great idea.
What could possibly go wrong?
Saying that, though, you can watch Elon Musk's satellites or whatever they are exploding and failing most of the time live on X, as it's now called.
I know, but again, that's something you've got to go out of your way to look for, isn't it? And this is Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Where this is being broadcast on BBC One.
Yeah.
Live as
on
news.
Christmas Eve.
On Christmas Eve
with
as
midnight
news.
mass. Not that I'm religious or anything. I probably would rather be watching the...
Be looking at what is almost certainly just going to be space and nothing else.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah. So we see the broadcast and we see what initially everyone thinks are rocks, and then we get the reveal that it's actually an alien face, and he kind of jump scares the camera. I love the thought of the Sycorax go, woo!
I made a note of that. Like, it looks brilliant straight away. It's like, ooh, what's that? But, it's gone, blah, I'm a monster, basically. It's just like, oh, Christ.
Yeah. Obviously, this is being broadcast all over the world. Although I don't know how many people outside the UK watch BBC One, but
well, Trinity Wells. I mean, clearly.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, Trinity Wells broadcasting it on what's it like CNN or something like that.
Something. He might have come up with his own one.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, she's got the best character journey in all of Doctor Who, hasn't she? She's this poor news reporter, and then she becomes like this alt-right.
Yeah, she kind of becomes like Joe Rogan or something, doesn't she?
God, yeah.
Yeah. So Llewellyn is being escorted by Major Blake to unit in
the Tower of
London in like the basement or something.
Yeah, which
isn't this when we get the shot of Big Ben? Is that here?
I think that's closer to morning, isn't it? Because we're still about midnight here.
Yeah, we definitely see Big Ben when the ship actually like flies over. Yeah. But I'm not sure if we get it beforehand. But this is when we're properly kind of introduced to Harriet again and her aide Alex. When she says, "My right hand man," quite like having a right hand man.
Yeah, I quite like it myself.
Yeah, they say that they're putting out a cover story that students in masks hijack the TV signal.
I think believable.
I suppose it's the best you could do, and it's like it's not a foolproof plan, but when it's being broadcast and you can't deny its existence because it's there, what are you going to do?
Yeah, it's better than Kate Stewart saying Darren Brown. So
Oh, Darren Brown. I don't know. You say that, I might actually believe Darren Brown more because Darren Brown's done some wild stuff.
Maybe, and I think with the time period,
Darren Brown fully tricked someone into thinking he was in a zombie apocalypse.
I haven't watched enough Darren Brown to know.
Have you seen that? Have you seen Darren Brown Apocalypse?
I've not seen that. No.
He essentially set everything up. So this is gonna be a tangent. He essentially rigs this guy's life for about a month.
Yeah.
So he puts fake news articles up saying that an asteroid has crashed down and it's released this like radiation energy. His whole family's in on it because the whole thing is this guy's basically a bit of a douche, and he takes his family for granted. He's unemployed. He asks his parents for money all the time. So it's basically like a get yourself together kind of thing. So they try to scare him into missing his family. But they do all this like preamble, like say for about a month, where it's saying that an asteroid has crashed down and has released stuff. And they set up this narrative that this asteroid has caused a zombie apocalypse.
Right.
And I think he gets on a bus to go see the Killers or something. Someone tells him, because the Killers like his favorite band, they're telling him to go in to see the Killers concert. And Darren Brown's on the bus,
right,
and essentially hypnotizes him and gets him to wake up in this like, at the beginning of The Walking Dead when Rick wakes up in the hospital and everything's just like destroyed.
Yeah,
they essentially build this set.
Wow,
and they have extras dressed up like zombies that chase him around, and they've created this character that this actor is, who's essentially trying to keep him safe and to make sure that none of the like zombie actors ever actually like catch up to him, and they fully convince this guy he's in the zombie apocalypse.
What is the ethics behind this?
Well, like I say, it's basically this guy's a bit of a douche. He doesn't appreciate what he's got, so they try to scare him into not taking things for granted. I guess it's so elaborate, but it makes me think like I don't know how much it could be fake. Do you know what I mean? I don't know.
That's the thing.
I watched it when I was a kid, but I was like,
I'm not.
But I'm like, when things like that happen, Darren Brown. Sure.
I guess so. Did he hypnotize him using blood control by any chance?
No, he didn't. He just did the like, I think it went over him just like, whoop.
Okay. But I'm also wondering, this, I don't know how if you've heard the story before, but in America when they were showing like the horror of Fang Rock on like in the 90s,
right?
Somebody hijacked the broadcast for that essentially and was wearing one of these creepy masks.
Was it Graham Norton?
It wasn't Graham Norton this time. But I don't know if that's like Russell. Maybe that's a reference to that. It could be. I could just be speculating.
It is Russell, though.
I mean, he knows his stuff.
He does, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they put out this story that students have hacked this TV signal. This one we're introduced to Sally Jacobs, who I think they say is a technician.
Yeah.
She explains the signal didn't come from Mars, but actually 5,000 miles above the planet's surface.
Mm-hmm.
So now Rose and Mickey are at home. Mickey accesses the unit website to monitor their readings.
Well, you know.
Yeah, I said this during the episode and you said you were making a note, didn't you?
Yeah.
Password's still the same.
Yeah, they haven't changed the password. Fired a missile at Downing Street and thought, we'll just keep Buffalo.
Yeah, Buffalo. What was it? 2Fs, 1L, something like that?
I can't remember.
Was it 1F, 2L? I can't remember. The doctor spells it out.
Well, if I can't remember that, because this is what always confused me as a kid about how you actually spell Buffalo.
I think it's 2Fs, 1L.
Yeah.
It's like rabbit. Rabbit was confusing me. Is it 2Bs, 1T or the other way around?
It is 2B. Oh, I don't want to say now.
I think it's 2Bs, 1T.
I'm going to go with that.
Yeah. So they essentially log into Unit. They don't hack. Come on, Mickey. That's not what hacking is. If you have the logging details, you're not hacking.
Not hacking. But he's also, got to be careful because he's using Jackie's dial-up, as she mentioned.
He doesn't have a VPN.
So 2005.
Yeah.
Keep a track of how much you're using on the dial-up. Christ.
The aliens send another signal to Earth, and it's like a message, isn't it?
Yeah.
Of the aliens talking. It's obviously not in English. Rose says she doesn't understand the language, which is weird because the TARDIS normally auto-translates everything, and she kind of works out, again, Rose being kind of intuitive and working out, well, what's different? The Doctor. So she works out it's something to do with the Doctor, and that's why, like, the circuit's not complete type of thing. Hence why the translation circuit isn't working, and they can't really understand the aliens. She examines the Doctor again, and she says he's getting worse. One of his hearts has stopped now. She says something like he might die if they try to wake him up again. So they just try not to bother him, really.
Yeah, yeah.
Blake orders the use of, like, translation software.
Yeah, he does.
So Alex kind of hops on that. He says, like, it's going to take a long time to translate an alien language.
Yeah.
Since there's no sign of the Doctor around, Harriet asks Blake about Torchwood. Mm-hmm. He kind of looks horrified that she's even brought it up.
Yeah.
And she says, like, look, I know I'm not supposed to know about it, but, desperate times, desperate measures.
Yeah.
He says something like, I can't take responsibility for this. She says, I can.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know how you can take responsibility for something that you're not even supposed to know exists.
Well, by the end, she does in a way, I guess, take responsibility.
But this is my thing of, like, if she's not even supposed to know it exists, because it's above the government, beyond the law and all that stuff.
Oh, no, that's Torchwood Cardiff.
Yeah. Why, if it's so above her that even she's not allowed to know of its existence, why does she get the authority to tell them what to do?
God knows. I technically, it could be because, Torchwood was meant to be set by the royal family. They're on the roof. Well, they're not yet, but they will be later on.
Yes, good point. Do you think Queen Liz was, like, high up in Torchwood?
Oh yeah, I mean, she's basically the boss, isn't she? Does it go between each monarch? Like,
does that mean Charles now runs Torchwood?
Well, if Torchwood ever comes back, Charlie Boyle be in it.
His Majesty's Secret Service.
Oh God.
So Harriet basically says, I can take responsibility, get Torchwood to be ready to attack, I guess. She wants them to be ready. The translation software translates the message roughly. They find out that the aliens are called the Sycorax, and they're demanding surrender, or they, quotations, will die. Yeah,
that's a line that Russell brings up in the commentary. Because I think I mentioned to you during it, when you freeze frame on the screen, it says, we want your rocks, your minerals, your precious stones.
Yes.
Originally, if you look on the screen, it says, we want your precious stones and your women, which is...
Oh, dear.
Oh, dear. Like, wow. But that line was cut from the actual dialogue. Not for the reason of it sounding a bit, that's a bit risky for, Christmas Day.
Yeah.
It's because that exactly what you mentioned there, or they will die. And they thought that would imply that only the women would die or something like that.
Yeah, of course.
So it wasn't anything to do with like, oh, that's a bit dodgy. It's just, does this sound grammatically correct?
Yeah, that's such, yeah. I love the logistics of that. I mean, like, oh man, we've got to rewrite.
At least he thinks things through, you know.
Yeah, sometimes.
Whoa.
What I thought was interesting as well is that the Sycorax's word for human also kind of appears to be similar to like cattle.
Cattle, yeah.
It's like that's essentially what they think of us. We're something to farm, something to make useful.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's kind of a fun little way just to get that across without being super like expository.
Yeah, yeah.
So Harriet essentially wants to deliver a message to the Sycorax, doesn't she?
Are they on screen yet? They're on screen, the Sycorax, like the four of them. Or do they just send a message? I can't remember if they.
I don't think they're live yet, because I don't think once they're live, that's when they get teleported, and that's not here.
When there's four of them, like standing in like the music video.
Oh, are they actually though? Because I don't know. Because I always thought it was still a pre-recorded message, but even when the Sycorax start doing the blood control thing, they have to be live at that point because they're responding to Harriet saying no, essentially.
I guess so. I think I just more meant it's a video message, isn't it? That's on the screen.
Yeah, they can see the Sycorax.
Oh, yeah. It's just I can't take that seriously because they look like Queen in Bohemian Rhapsody. I think I've got that from the outtakes of on the Series 2 DVD. I think they actually do it, but I just look at it and think they're going to break into that.
Oh, no. Oh, I'm never going to be able to see that again.
Yeah, so...
Oh, no.
Yeah. So Christmas Bohemian Rhapsody would have been great from the Sycorax as well.
Oh, Jesus.
Can you imagine if that was on the translation software, that was actually what was just coming through? I see a little silhouette of a man.
Scaramouche.
Just like a little indentation to say someone else has said that one.
He's like, translation circuits come through. Thunderbolt and lightning, very, very frightening.
I mean, as they say, the Sycorax rock.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. To be fair, though, half of Bohemian Rhapsody is barely English.
Yeah, might as well be Sycorax, I guess. So yeah.
Yeah. Harriet has to like deliver that message, doesn't she? She says, "Human race comes in peace. We extend that peace, but we do warn you, the planet is armed."
Yeah.
Because of that, at dawn, the Sycorax enact their first move. This is when we get the shot, I think, of the Sycorax ship flying over the city, over London. And
if we haven't hypnotized anybody yet, I don't think
it's happening now. I think.
So they're already on the roof when the Sycorax arrive. I know that because and it's just one of them very fine details. Which when they arrive, there's enough to smash the windows and shake things to its core. But nobody gets shaken off the roof.
Okay, yeah. So in response to Harriet basically saying the planet is armed, the Sycorax, you see, kind of like wipe their hand, and there's this kind of like blue energy, and then a handful of people in the room have this kind of swirling blue effect over their head, and they start walking off.
Yeah.
And what we kind of realize is all these people, including Sally and a bunch of like family members, just of the random public, start walking and climbing to the highest spots they can find, normally on top of like building rooftops and stuff, and they just stand at the edge.
Have you ever seen Peaky Blinders?
No, I've been meaning to.
You know the guy, so there's Sandra living next door to Rose and Mickey.
Yes, yeah.
The guy, I can't remember his name, but the guy that's about the husband. Jason, that's it. He's played by the guy who plays Tommy Shelby's brother in...
Oh, is he?
Yeah, Arthur Shelby, which is just weird to see him there. So yeah.
Yeah, in this small bit part.
Paul Anderson, yeah, I think so.
Why did I remember Jason?
I don't know. I mean, that's a deep cut reference, I guess, as well.
Yeah, do you reckon they do an Eagle Moss figure of Jason?
They should do. Actually, I don't... Yeah, that could be one for the collection, I think.
So this is when the Sycorax ship flies over the city.
So yeah, it's morning now.
Yeah, it's dawn. This is when we get the shot of Big Ben still under construction.
Love that.
From where the Sycorax ship where the Slitheen ship hit it in Aliens of London.
It's a brilliant little detail, isn't it?
Yeah, which I probably didn't notice the first 5 times I watched this.
It's very clever. The one thing I would mention, there is a deleted scene that happens just before the Sycorax arrive, and obviously the hypnosis takes over. And it is quite an interesting one, I think. It's because there's an exterior, because of what they could film in London, what they couldn't film. There were so many people that had turned up that a load of exterior scenes had to be cut.
Right.
And something happens in an exterior scene, but the interior scene that follows it, that should have been in it, was it's implied Rose and Mickey spend the night together. So Rose ends up coming out of the room with Mickey in a dressing gown, and apparently Russell and Julian all said that it was implied that maybe something happened that evening, which I'm really glad's not in it.
Yeah, not just because of the tone being a bit like not really that, but also I think
make sense.
if that happened, I feel like Mickey wouldn't be as accepting of Rose going away as he is.
No, yeah, that's true.
Because
But
I feel like that would kind of imply, from based on what I know about Mickey, I feel like if they spent the night together, that would get his hopes up and he'd start getting attached again.
I think so. I think Russell said the reason that it went in there is because it's going to be like the end of the world, and like,
Oh, I see.
what else would you do?
I recently watched the first series of Good Omens with Charles,
Yeah,
and it just reminds me of Jack Whitehall and
that scene. Yeah,
and the witch woman. And it's like, oh no, the world's ending. Let's Jack.
yeah. I mean, that's what he was going for apparently,
Yeah.
but I'm really glad that's not in it. It wouldn't have made.
that's not. No, yeah, good call.
Yeah. So thank God they couldn't film it, I guess.
Good call,
But yeah.
Mr. T.
Ooh,
Davis.
Good Omens. Yeah, Neil Gaiman. Maybe we won't mention him. He's a
Well, we're
rotten
going to
one.
have to eventually once we get to Series 6.
Oh God.
And
Oh well, and the
7.
Doctor's wife's okay.
Yeah, Series 7.
Enough said about that. About her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so obviously now not everyone, but a bunch of people have been hypnotized almost. Darren Brown.
Darren Brown.
He did it.
He's the Sycorax leader.
Oh no. He inside of units, kind of like HQ.
Yeah.
This is when Llewellyn kind of comes to the realization, like what these people have in common.
Mm-hmm.
And he asks for the unit staff's medical records, and he works out that everyone hypnotized has A positive blood because he, when he sent Guinevere 1 up into space, he had just Earth samples, so water, stones, music, stuff like that, and A positive blood was one of the things that was sent up.
What music do you reckon was on there? What would you send into space?
Life on Mars.
That's a good shout. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just thinking of when did that come out. I just realised, of course, it came out before 2000.
Well, Life on Mars,
1971.
1970. Yeah, Hunky Dory was 71, I think.
Apparently, in my mind, 2005 is so long ago that it might as well be in the 1970s. I reckon Crazy Frog. You know,
you think of what was
2005.
contemporary? What was
Yeah,
contemporary? Oh, yeah.
Maybe it would be the Christmas #1 that year. Which was, do you want to take a guess?
Oh, you have this written down?
I wrote this
The
down.
Christmas #1 in 2005?
Yeah.
Is it a Christmas song?
I don't know because I've never heard the song, but it might be. It doesn't sound
I
like
just
one.
see Rob scrambling through his like 7 pages of notes.
It doesn't sound like it is, but do you want to have a guess of who it might be by? Think
Is this someone I
2005.
know, I assume?
He very tenuously features in a Doctor Who episode, but a poster of him does.
Oh, God.
And technically the episode's missing.
So this is someone who's in the classic Who?
No. It's currently missing.
Oh, okay. Right, so who's on a poster in Fear Her?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. Is this in Chloe Webber's bedroom?
No, it's when they land and there's that great bit in Fear Her. No offense to the writer of Fear Her, but the one good bit in Fear Her when the TARDIS lands the wrong way around, which is great.
Yeah.
There's a poster on the side.
Is
one of
oh
them.
man.
And because this is set in 2012, no offense to this artist, that says that this was completely wrong anyway, because I don't know if this artist was known in 2012 anymore.
Do I know who is this like a one-hit wonder, or is this someone
I couldn't name you the hit that he did.
you couldn't?
But I could tell you the TV show that he was off, though.
So he's an actor as well?
No.
What?
He became famous on a TV show.
As a musician?
Yes.
My God. Was it like a reality show? How do you become famous on a TV show not as an actor?
Well, I guess it's a reality show, but a competition.
Right. Like an X Factor winner.
It's an X Factor winner, yeah.
Shane Ward.
That's the one.
Was it?
He had-
Was it That's My Goal?
How the hell did you know that?
Oh, yes! Yeah!
Hang on, what? I've never heard of that song. How did you know? What is that, like a famous song, or is it just?
No, I just have recollections of it. I have recollections of that was when my parents used to care about the X Factor.
Oh right, okay.
Which they dropped pretty quick because I think they used to watch Pop Idol.
Oh God!
And then
now we're going back.
Yeah, and then they watched maybe the first 2-3 seasons of the X Factor, and then once it started becoming more about like the drama, because like everyone has like the sob story when they go on. Once it started becoming more of that, pretty much soon as the auditions became a thing with an audience, that's when my parents stopped watching.
That's fair. I remember Shane Ward. I don't remember any song he did though. But there you go. Well done.
Yeah.
That's the Christmas number. How did we get on to talk about the Christmas number one again? Oh, what was being sent into space? That was it. Back to the Christmas invasion.
Yeah. Back to you in the studio.
Yeah.
So A positive blood sent into space. So this is when we essentially work out they're somehow using it to control all the people with A positive blood. Mm-hmm. So Harriet, this is when Harriet gives the emergency broadcast on TV because the royal family are, and I quote, up on the roof.
Oh, I just love the little pause. Did we ask about the royal family? And she looks to the side, and then she looks back and does this one little moment of silence, just to go, did I just hear that the royal family?
Yeah, Penelope Wilton is very good.
Oh, incredibly good in this.
Yes, yeah. So she's the Queen's Christmas speech has been cancelled because they're on the roof. She essentially reaches out for the doctor and says, "If you can hear this, please help us."
Yeah,
I love the thought of the general public watching that and being like, "What?"
Oh, well, the obvious thing to say there would be Doctor Who, isn't it? But in all fairness, a third of them are on the roof anyway.
That's when you cut to some random... if that was a Chibnall episode, you cut to a random family going, Doctor Who!
Oh. Yeah.
Now, if it was a Chibnall episode, when the ship flies over, it would knock over, like, the internet tower.
No, don't do that line. I mean... It's a terrible line.
It is. Yeah,
in an otherwise okay episode, I have to say, I like Resolution overall.
Yeah, I think Resolution is... I think Resolution is better than Revolution of the Daleks.
I don't agree with that.
I thought Revolution of the Daleks was better upon airing. However, having rewatched both since, I think Resolution is better.
I don't agree because the Daleks in Revolution of the Daleks sound like the one from Remembrance of the Daleks.
Yeah, but isn't that also the one with the Doctor knowingly destroys a TARDIS? Knowing that it's a sentient thing.
Yeah. Okay. But, it had to be got rid of, didn't it? You couldn't. Anyway, we're reviewing the wrong episode.
Yeah. This happens a lot. Yeah. So the Sycorax ship, obviously entering the city, like you said earlier, kind of smashes all the windows and stuff nearby.
Some pretty good CGI in that as well, I think.
Yeah. I mean... I know I said this when we watched it, but I love the design of the Sycorax ship because it doesn't look like a sci-fi spaceship, like a cliche kind of... Yeah. If I said you draw a spaceship, you wouldn't draw this. It looks like a
It looks like
rock.
land has just come up.
Yeah, it looks like an asteroid mixed with, a piece of... It's almost as if a land... I can't talk. Almost as if a mountain had like thrusters on the bottom.
Yeah, no.
And it just lifted up from a planet and decided to fly away. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, no, I really like the ship, and but also like the design of like stuff falling off the buildings and stuff. I think looks pretty good.
Yeah. So Rose obviously doesn't know what else to do at this point, so she asks Mickey and Jackie to help her move the Doctor into the TARDIS.
I think Billie Piper in that scene where she's like breaking down just before the Sycorax, the sonic boom hits.
Yeah.
I think is really good. That's like
because
it's all over now.
That's something I said this while we were watching it again, but like, how many times has Doctor Who over the years had these like earth-shattering or galaxy-threatening events?
Yeah.
This is one of those moments where I feel the stakes.
Yeah,
I feel the stakes here more than like Journey's End. And that's not me like knocking Journey's End as an episode, but it's something where I feel like it's pretty impossible for us to comprehend what destroying everything down to the atoms is like.
Fair point, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Where this is like 1/3 of the world's population essentially being led to jump.
Yeah.
Is horrifying.
Yeah.
But because the Doctor's not in this episode enough to take over.
You feel unsafe, I think.
Yeah, because you spend so much time not just building up the threat, but obviously when the Doctor's there, he normally has your attention most of the time.
Yeah.
So because he's not there taking your attention, you're not just getting more of the threat, but you're allowed more time to soak up the stakes.
I think so. And Billie Piper really sells it, I think, that when she's snivelling, basically, and holding Jackie is, I think, really good. Like,
because doesn't she say something like the other doctor wouldn't have done this?
my
doctor wouldn't do this.
Yeah, which is brave in itself, I think, as a right decision to go. Because you're saying to the audience, like,
this isn't
this guy the doctor? And I guess that helps with that believability of, not believability, but sells you on the fact that they might be done for here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's cool. So they do load him into the TARDIS, and whilst Rose and Mickey are doing most of the heavy lifting, while Jackie's just grabbing food.
Yeah, RTD had a problem with that, I think, because obviously the reason that she's going to get food is to get the tea in the TARDIS, basically.
Yes, yeah.
And he thought it was quite contrived.
It's a little contrived.
I don't know. I think the end of the world, you're going into your nuclear. And this is what Julie Gardner says: is you're going into your nuclear bunker. You've got to take provisions with you.
No, I don't find taking the tea contrived. I find the tea being the remedy quite contrived.
I quite like that.
Do you?
It's very British. Not that I'm a very pro-British person.
I think it's very in character for Jackie to do what she did. I don't have an issue with that. I just feel like the tea being the resolution to getting
free radicals and tannins.
to getting DT back up on his feet. I find that a little contrived. Not enough for me to like knock the episodes. But it's something where I'm just like,
I just think of the fact it never comes up again. He doesn't, when he's struggling in his deep breath regeneration, he's like, well, just give me a cup of tea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you should have asked for that in Unicorn and the Wasp. You know, after he gets poisoned, he's like, cup of tea.
Well, that very much mirrors that scene with Jackie, I think. You know,
yeah.
What do you need? It's like, oh, okay, we're going to repeat that, but I think done.
Harvey Wallbanger.
It's Harvey Wallbanger, one word. It's really good. The one thing I will say that's quite contrived, though, is the fact that she goes back out to go and get more tea. not more tea, more food.
Yes, yeah.
Which is purely because Russell doesn't want
Jackie on the TARDIS.
And apparently
I was going to say the ship. How Hartnell is that?
The ship. But there was originally a draft apparently where she does go up to the Sycorax ship, which I'm glad doesn't happen because I think you've got enough characters there.
Yeah, I mean, even as is, like when you think of what's going on at the moment, like Mickey's got nothing to do.
Yeah,
we don't need Jackie there too.
No, I agree. Right decision there, I think, to get rid.
Yeah, 100%. So at this point, the Sycorax teleport Harriet, Alex, Llewellyn, and Blake up to the Sycorax ship. This is when the Sycorax leader comes in and removes his helmet.
Yes.
And it's Llewellyn, I think, that says like, oh, it's a helmet. What, they might look like us.
And it makes that horrible noise.
Because it's kind of like bone, isn't it? That's what it looks like. Yeah. And then when he pulls the helmet off, and then it's revealed he's more humanoid looking.
Yeah,
but he looks like a man with reddy pink face paint on, and as if some of his bones were external, like glued on his face. And the scraping sound you hear is like the bone of the mask scraping against the bone that's on his face.
Yeah, it's like an inverted face because you've got the bone on the outside and then like the muscle on the inside, I guess.
Yes,
which is quite cool. I like the face underneath. I know you said that.
I like. Again, I don't dislike it enough to say I hate it or it doesn't pull me out or anything, but I quite like the design of the mask quite a lot.
I think it's very cool.
And then having the mask taken off essentially after the broadcast, from here on out, you don't really see it anymore. Obviously the other ones have it on, but the focus is on the leader.
Yeah.
And he just kind of looks like a guy with face paint on.
I think I slightly disagree. I think he looks. I really like the texture and like the muscle stuff, and I think the thing that it needs to happen. You need a mouth moving, otherwise.
Yeah, I understand that. I think one decision that would make or break this, and I'm really glad they did it, is giving him contact lenses.
Yes.
I think if he had just human eyes, that would suck me out completely. But the fact that he's got kind of yellowy eyes.
Yeah.
What?
Nothing. Gloss over that. Just nothing.
What are you laughing at?
I'll tell you later.
Oh, God. Okay.
No, I agree. Apparently, the actor really struggled with the contact lenses.
I would too. I'm really bad with eyes. So. Like the smallest thing makes my eyes water.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
I struggle to have my photo taken with a flash.
Yeah, I think as well as this was filmed on the hot. Well, not necessarily this scene, but when they go outside and fight, and he's still got the contact lenses. Yeah, that's filmed on the hottest day of the year in 2005.
Ooh,
so he was definitely suffering, and I think he does a really good job of like selling the vocabulary.
Yes,
which Russell apparently tried to come up with as much vocab as possible for Sycoraxic.
It's quite a cool language.
Is it?
It's a language that I can believe exists, because Doctor Who leans into the silly sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, in terms of like languages that are like,
Maho.
you know, like, you know, Pertwee says in, I think, is it in Spearhead of Space? Yeah, it is. When he says like, there's an alien language, an alien species that communicate with their eyebrows.
Oh, Delphoid. Oh,
Yeah, and it's like that's one
Delphon.
of those things. It's a throwaway line. You don't pay too much attention to it,
Yeah.
but it's like it's silly when you think about it.
Yeah.
But the Sycoraxic is a language that I can truly believe. If you told me that was like, I don't know what they spoke in like some African country,
Yeah.
I'd believe you. Like I could see how that could be an actual like tangible linguistic thing.
Oh yeah. Apparently Russell. Yeah. Like I said, he did go into trying.
Even when the Doctor says it later and he kind of throws that insult out, I'm like, I don't know what you said, but it sounds insulting.
Ben something or something. I can't really remember. But the TARDIS didn't translate it, so it must have been a very strong expletive, let's say.
or older than time itself.
Or that, yeah, could be that.
Yeah.
Maybe he said something in satanic rather than Sycoraxic, I don't know.
Yeah.
But there's a great moment when Daniel Llewellyn, like before he gets brutally killed,
Yes.
he's speaking and like show us some compassion, whatever. And like the Sycorax leader's looking at him and he does like a little jolt and he looks like a pigeon, I found.
That's true. He does. But I love that little tick.
No, it's cool. It's like
That's a real alien way of like trying to like, you know how like when the Terminator is looking at people and you can see Arnie does a great job of looking very machine-like while trying to analyze a situation. He doesn't look like a man thinking. He looks like something gathering information to make an assessment.
yeah.
It's kind of like that where it's very alien, very abrupt, where people don't move in that way. But you can tell it's him trying to understand.
Yeah, he's like,
But it's so like, obviously it's a movement that a human can make, but it's not a movement that a human would make.
it's like a pigeon, like how a pigeon would look at something, and his teeth in that as well. It's quite a frightening little bit, I think.
Yeah, because so the leader of the Sycorax essentially demands surrender, or he's going to order the mind-controlled humans to jump. Llewellyn steps forward. He basically says, "This is my fault. I sent the blood up. I'm responsible." He tries to reason with them, and he says, "You know, we're like children compared to you. The human race is just now reaching out to the stars. I urge you to show a bit of compassion," type of thing. And he's essentially reduced to a pile of bones.
Yeah, I mean, for Christmas Day, that's...
Yeah, so the leader of the Sycorax has like a whip that's got like lightning or some form of energy on it, and he like whips Llewellyn and just kind of like just turns him to dust essentially. Blake then protests and says, "That man was your prisoner. Even you must have articles of war." And whoop, he's dead too.
He's gone too. If you've got too many characters, you've got to get rid of them quickly.
Yep.
And you know, it tells you that these are. I remember watching this. Okay. I'll wait for you to get around to that one, I think. Yeah, but at least these ones don't come back. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think, it really tells you that this guy's a danger. And I remember as a kid going, "Oh, that's
stakes.
That's horrible."
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So now that it's only Alex and Harriet left, Harriet is essentially left the choice: half the world to be sold into slavery, or a third will die.
That's an interesting.
It's not a choice I'd want to make.
No. And so thank God that tea does work in the end, I guess. The one thing I think you mentioned there, I don't know if you mentioned this when you talked about Aliens of London and World War III, but the ongoing pun of, "Yes, I know who you are."
Yes.
So
Obviously "I know who you are" isn't a thing in Aliens of London.
No, of course not, yeah. But she's doing the
she's doing the Harriet Jones, MP Floodale North.
Yeah.
Charles hates the gag.
Oh, I love it.
I do as well. I think it's one of the funniest ongoing jokes in the entire series. I love it, and the way it pays off in Stolen Earth, I think, is very, very funny.
It made me laugh as a kid, and you know, it's like one of them things that's just going through it, and it's still part of the character.
Yes.
So what is it? MP Floodale North, Prime Minister, former Prime Minister.
Yes, because in this episode, Harriet introduces herself first to Daniel.
And you
Daniel
think
Llewellyn.
And you think that's just like a pass away?
Yeah,
she's nervous, you know.
Yeah. And then she does it again to Sally.
Sally, yeah.
And Sally says, "Yes, I know who you are." And then she does it for the third time to the Sycorax leader. And the Sycorax leader is speaking Sycoraxic, and then Alex reads it back through the translation and goes, "Yes, I know who you are."
It's how deadpan he just reads it. And I think he gives like a side eye going, oh, why have you just done that? You know.
Yeah.
Really like that.
Man, I love that joke so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is when Rose has apparently given up. She sat in the TARDIS. Even Mickey's just saying to Rose, like, "Oh man, you really just given up?" And she's like, "Yep, pretty much."
Yeah.
Jackie goes out to get more supplies. Mickey's trying to use the scanner to tune into what's happening. And when he does that, the TARDIS technology is detected by the Sycorax.
Nice. Yeah.
Which I think is a really good way of writing it. So, because obviously we need the Sycorax to detect the TARDIS to bring them up.
Yeah.
But it's like, why wouldn't they have detected it before they even got to the planet? Do you know what I mean? There needs to be a reason why. So the fact that Rose's logic is get the Doctor to the TARDIS, I don't know what else to do, but that's the only place I can think of that would be safe. And then Mickey's thing of like, well, since I'm the tech guy, I'm the tin dog, I'm going to go and try and do something to patch it.
Yeah.
And then the Sycorax detecting that.
Yeah.
100%.
Well,
it works.
It doesn't feel like a contrived way of...
Absolutely not.
Because obviously this is how clever Russell is. There's a pass in line of, what can you fly this thing, Mickey? I think Mickey says to Rose, and she doesn't have her god powers anymore.
Yes.
It's like wiped from my brain. It's like very cleverly, you know.
Yeah.
He's always seems to have an answer for why things.
Yeah. And reading the writer's tale, you work out that's not always fully planned out, but he's really good at picking up the pieces that he's left by accident and making them work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so once the Sycorax detects the alien technology of the TARDIS, they beam the TARDIS up onto the ship, and Jackie is left behind, unfortunately, once again. Rose basically says, like, what's taking her so long? She steps out, and she screams as she's kind of like...
Proper good Doctor Who scream as well, I think.
Yeah. Almost certainly not Billy Piper.
I don't know, it might have been, but it was definitely ADR'd. I know that for a fact.
Well, it's off screen, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's someone else.
It could be. Oh, yeah, that was one thing. You know when Jackie comes back out and she's looking up at the sky?
Yes.
There's no people on the roof.
Is there not?
No, because it's an aerial shot looking down at her, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's no people on the roof.
Oh. Why? Oh.
Why
have I not noticed that?
I didn't notice it. It was Russell. It was that commentary again, basically.
Oh, God.
And, you know, fair point could be maybe they're just standing on the other side of the roof.
Yeah.
So let's go with that. But
oh, man. Oh, dear.
I'm picking it all apart.
Oh,
picking
God.
it all apart now.
Obviously, once he hears Rose scream, Mickey runs out after her, and he accidentally knocks over the flask of tea, which starts dripping through the grill of the TARDIS floor.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's kind of like spilling over the console. At this point, we're now in the Sycorax ship for real. Everyone's kind of together for the first time. Reunited, Rose and Harriet.
Oh.
They have a nice little moment where they like hug each other.
Yeah, that's nice.
Rose essentially tries to bluff the Sycorax by just spouting key phrases that she's picked up from her time in the TARDIS.
Yeah, I think that comes back to what we were saying earlier with like she's unsure of herself.
She's very because again, like I say, if this were Clara, she would fully do. You know, like when Clara pretends to be the Doctor in Dark Water.
Dark Water, yeah.
And she's so confident, she's so sure of herself. Which, granted, she probably does have the practice from Flatline, but like,
yeah,
she's she knows this is going to work. Where Rose is very unsure of herself.
Yeah.
And she's just kind of like just spouting words. So she references the Gelth. She references the Shadow Proclamation, the Daleks, the Slitheen.
Parliament of Raxacrocrophalapatorius.
Yeah. The Jagrafess.
And then the Daleks.
Yeah. So she kind of just references all this stuff. And basically says, I command you to leave. And they just start laughing at it. It's so painful to watch, isn't it?
Yeah. It's in a good way.
Yeah, in a good way. Like I say, it's not Russell like writing bad. It's Billy doing a good job.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's just.
But it's very cringe. It's very painful to watch this character try to and you know it's not working.
Yeah. You can just tell.
And you're just like, please stop talking. Stop. I just have images of Harriet standing there in the back and I'm like, oh good God. So the Sycorax starts gloating. He's like speaking in Sycorax, and Alex is still here, like translating everything. And then we get this really good reveal where all of a sudden he starts speaking English, but it's kind of hard to pick up when he does.
I was trying to listen out for it. So
yeah, I was too.
I know the word planet was the first thing I listened to.
I think it was because I noticed the same thing. I was trying to pick up when he starts doing it, but it's only when he stops speaking, because Alex, obviously, because the translation thing's a little bit behind, Alex is kind of maybe a few words behind as he's translating it. And then they say the last like 5 words at the same time.
Yeah, because that's when I first noticed as a kid. I was like,
Yeah.
how have they suddenly lined up?
Yeah.
It's like, oh wow.
And then that's when all the characters have this moment of, wait, that's English.
Yeah.
And when you say, like, I would not sully my tongue with your primitive bile or something like that. And everyone's like, no, that's definitely English.
I speak only Sycorax. And
then again, Rose, being pretty switched on, comes to the realization, hold on, that's English. I can understand you. That means the TARDIS translation circuit's working again, meaning the Doctor must be awake.
Yeah.
And I love this shot.
This shot's great when they're all turning around.
Yeah.
And everyone says,
everyone's kind of standing in a line, aren't they? Like some on the left, some on the right, the camera's in the middle, and everyone's like turning their heads, pivoting like front to back, like in unison almost, and the camera pushes through to the middle.
it is really
and
good.
Then the doors fly open.
And there he is.
And there he is.
Yeah.
Dr. 10 in the dressing gown.
In the dressing gown.
Yeah.
No, it's good. The only thing I don't really like about it is the bit when Rose is realizing, and she's saying, like, you know, you're speaking English, which means I'm understanding, which means this
It's very Chibnall-y, isn't it? It's very Jodie Whittaker explaining it to me like I'm 5.
And what you got to remember, this isn't made for somebody of my age, really, is it? So
yeah, plus I guess because this was a Christmas special, they knew a lot of people would be watching it who hadn't watched the first series.
You got all eyes on it, I guess.
Yeah, so you'd have to kind of explain how the translation circuit works properly.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Again, I'm speaking with adult eyes, you know.
Yeah. But like I say, it's very brief. It's not as if it's like, again, like the 13th Doctor does it at the end of most of her episodes. And I find it quite annoying because it's often the resolution to the main mystery. And it's not here. It's just...
No, it's a little...
It's just something like, okay, yeah, it's maybe a bit... Like, in real life, no one would speak that out loud. Do you know what I mean? You would just kind of get the face and then the turn, I guess.
Yeah.
Or maybe she'd say, like, wait, that's English. And then stop there and turn around. Do you know what I mean? As she's kind of thinking it in her head. But I guess you kind of have to spell it out for the casuals, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
But yeah, the TARDIS door's open. The Doctor's there. Did you miss me?
Yeah, yes, we did.
Yeah.
I think that works incredibly well that he comes out. It's like, oh, finally.
Yeah, where the hell have you been?
Yeah.
This bit is probably my biggest gripe of the episode. And it is a nitpick, but it's when the Sycorax leader goes to whip him.
I knew you was going to bring that up, yeah.
And he just, the Doctor just grabs the whip, just pulls it off him and says, you could have someone's eye out with that.
Yeah.
How does that work?
First 15 hours of regeneration energy?
No, you can only use that excuse once. I'm sorry.
Okay. I don't know. It's just...
Yeah,
I can hear what Russell was... I don't know what I don't think he said anything about that specifically, but I can already hear him saying, I know this probably doesn't really work. But you want the impression that the Doctor is, here now and he can do whatever and he can save us. That's a terrible Russell T Davies impression.
No, it's all right. It's better than mine would be. Yeah, the Doctor breaks his staff. He says, just can't get the staff.
Which, you groan about, but, that's what
It's kind of a Moffat gag, isn't it?
But I love that. That's what I miss. I don't want Marvel humour. I want stupid humour like that.
Yeah. I want airplane humour.
Airplane, James Bond.
Yeah.
Well, Pierce Brosnan, James Bond humour, I guess.
Naked Gun.
Naked Gun humour, yes.
Yeah.
Definitely would want that back.
Yeah. So the Doctor tells him to wait. He says, like, you wait, I'm busy.
I'm busy. And this is, you were saying earlier you don't really know who he is, but I already got the impression I know who this Doctor is. He's arrogant. He's very self-assured.
He is, but I feel like even though those are traits that we associate with the 10th Doctor, they're not traits that are super present until series 3. I don't think the 10th Doctor in series 2 is all that arrogant.
But I think that kind of combines with them being like a cutesy couple thinking they can just do anything they want to do.
Yeah.
I think that kind of masks it. Like, I love the 10th
Maybe.
Doctor. And
Yeah.
David Tennant is my favourite Doctor. Don't know if the 10th Doctor or the 14th is, but, you know, that's a discussion for another time, I think. About between them two. But I think he's immediately arrogant. I think cocky, very self-assured.
Yeah.
Putting on a happy-go-lucky. And I think the biggest thing that I noticed was, as soon as he's come out, we've already got a pop culture reference with when he turns around and he goes, "Oh look, it's like this is your life."
Yeah.
Like,
This is my thing, is I know every incarnation of the Doctor has a different kind of personality and the way they react to things are different. But I think the issue I have with Matt Smith's Doctor, I know, again, this isn't my thing, everyone has said this, but the 10th Doctor is very human, he's very sociable, where the 11th Doctor is far more alien, and he's far less socially aware of what is acceptable and what is not. That's fine. I'm okay with the 11th Doctor maybe being slightly like on the spectrum, do you know what I mean? And not really knowing, like picking up social cues as much. But he behaves sometimes as if he doesn't know how humans talk. And I'm like, the fact that the 9th and the 10th Doctor can reference things like "this is your life" and Camptown races and stuff like that.
Races.
Do you know what? I do not believe that the 11th Doctor would be as like out of touch as he is.
Yeah, I agree, because sometimes it doesn't make sense. But
I think that's just...
then there's moments you get, which I've watched A Christmas Carol quite recently.
Yeah.
And there's that moment where he's talking to young Kazran and he goes, "We could like talk about girls or something like that." And it's just like, I don't know, but girls, like how do you do it? That's great.
Yeah.
I don't know why we're now reviewing The Christmas Carol, but another scene is when he goes, I think Kazran comes over and goes, "I'm going to kiss you." No. Kazran doesn't say that. Catherine Jenkins, Abigail says it to Kazran. Like, Kazran goes, "I think she's going to kiss me." And the doctor goes, "I think you're probably right." And he goes, "Well, what do I do?" And he's like, "I don't know."
Yeah.
Don't either do this or go and build a screwdriver in your bedroom. Don't make my mistakes. It's like... that's one of the things I love about Matt Smith.
That's the thing, though, because that's how he knows, like, I think you're probably right. He can pick up on the social cues. He just doesn't know how to respond to it. Where a lot of the time I think about, like, him, going into Clara's house, meeting her family naked, and just being like, oh yeah. And just...
But that's the thing. I think series getting to the end of Matt Smith's run, he becomes a bit. What's the word I'm looking for?
Cartoony. He's very like...
I can't think of the word. He becomes like a representation of himself, but that's not really...
Yeah, he's like a caricature of himself.
That's exactly what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But Tennant, I think coming off the back of somebody who's got all of his cultural references down.
Yeah.
Like The Lion King.
Yes, which he goes on to quote... Can you do that speech?
No.
Have you seen The Lion King?
I've seen The Lion King, yes, but it's from the song, isn't it? By Elton John. There's more to do than ever be done or something.
Oh, it's been so long since I've seen The Lion King. I always assumed that was in reference to that scene where Simba and Mufasa are sitting on the edge of Pride Rock looking over the land, when Mufasa says something like, "Oh, this land is mine and one day it'll be yours," kind of thing. But I could be wrong, because it's been a long time since I've seen it.
Maybe. I was thinking it's from Circle of Life, but...
You could be right. I don't know. But yeah, the Doctor tells the Sycorax leader to wait. He says, "I'm busy." He essentially takes his time to get reacquainted with everyone. He says, "Harriet Jones.
Yes.
Did you win the election?"
Yeah.
Landslide.
Yeah, nice.
He's disappointed that he's not a ginger.
Okay.
He gets annoyed at Rose. He says, "Fat load of good you were. You gave up on me." So,
"Ooh, I'm rude." Yeah, you
exactly.
are.
I am rude and not ginger.
I think that sums up the 10th Doctor quite nicely.
Yeah. But it's funny, I feel like the rude thing kind of dissipates after a while. I don't think of, like, Series 4...
No.
David Tennant being rude.
No. Series 2 do this.
Maybe in, like, Series 2, because, again, like, I think of, like, Idiot's Lantern, he's like, "I'm not listening," and stuff like that. But
also, though, I think it's kind of like Tom Baker could be rude without trying to be rude, like he calls you humans with your silly little brains. Like, he goes a bit Capaldi in that sense.
But again, I think the difference is Tom Baker is one of the more alien incarnations.
Yes.
With David Tennant being
human,
probably the most human of the incarnations.
Luminy.
let's not do that.
Yeah.
So this is when he basically says, all I needed was a good cup of tea, what did he say? A superheated infusion of free radicals and tannin, just the thing for healing the synapses.
Perfect. That's British Doctor Who right there.
Perfect. The Sycorax leader says, I demand to know who you are. He's, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a funny moment.
Yeah, he says, no, genuinely, I know I'm the Doctor, but other than that, I genuinely don't know. And he goes on this weird thing about, am I this, am I that?
And he winks at Rose. Like,
sexy?
okay.
Yeah.
Get a room, you two.
Yeah, already.
Yeah.
Yeah, he says, oh, big glowing button that should never be pressed.
Yeah, now, obviously David Tennant's putting on his accent.
Yes.
And it's fine, you know, that's just how the Doctor talks.
Yeah.
Sometimes I occasionally find it a little bit grating, and that when you go, big friendly button, it's just, yeah.
It's the T in button, isn't it?
But it's the B and the T, yeah. It's like button. It's just like you're putting a lot of emphasis on that. And I know it's a weird thing to get caught up on.
Do you think that's just a choice in the moment of how he's going to phrase it, or do you think that's him trying too hard with the accent? Trying to hide his Scottish?
Maybe. I mean, I don't really notice it in, like, other scenes. You know, he's trying to be all...
Maybe it's just him trying to be weirdly, like, theatrical about it.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is, but sometimes with the 10th Doctor, I do get a bit like, oh, all right, mate. You humans. All right, okay, just don't talk to me like I'm a dog.
yeah, that's a good point, yeah. He essentially looks at the big glowing button, he pulls everything out underneath and he works out it's blood control.
Blood control?
I've not seen blood control for years. Yeah, so he works out they're controlling all the people through blood control. He says, when I see a large glowing button, I can't help but do this. And he slaps it. Everyone kind of freaks out and goes, no, you just killed them. He goes, what do you reckon, big fella? Are they dead?
It would be quite funny if...
What they did.
His first act, if he did wipe out a third of the population of Earth.
Uh-oh.
There is a deleted scene, actually, in this bit where he can't say fantastic anymore. I don't know if you've ever seen that. So he's doing this shit, he's going... Oh, this is absolutely this doesn't sound right. It doesn't feel right in the gums. And he goes, I'm going to find a different word. And then he goes around going, oh, this is marvellous. This is spiffing. And then he eventually settles on brilliant, which, you know...
I guess that makes sense, because that does kind of go on to be a 10th Doctor thing.
Well, I used to think that was his catchprise, but it's obviously... I think we
Allons-y.
which doesn't get brought up till Army of Ghosts, I think.
Yeah, I think... Yeah, brilliant. That works in concept, especially because at the end of this, when he is holding hands with Rose and he actually says, it'll be fantastic, and he's able to say it, I feel like it works better without.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the fantastic then is a throwback to him, like reassuring Rose that he is still the same person.
Yeah, rather than just
being a payoff to, I couldn't say the word earlier.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's probably what they were aiming for in the first place, and this was just added in.
Yeah,
so
it's too much. Yeah, so I think, that's kind of consistent with Doctor Who, isn't it? Where there's loads of deleted scenes, but most of the time, I'd say 80% of the time, justifiably cut.
Yeah, I think so. I can't really think of a deleted scene off the top of my head where it hasn't.
No, I do wish that PS was actually at the end of The Angels Take Manhattan.
That would be
nice.
Rather
than being just something that you have to look on YouTube for. But
yeah, that would have been nice.
Yeah. But yeah, so the Doctor presses the button, and it essentially releases everyone from the control of the Sycorax. He says, like, it's kind of like hypnotism again. Darren Brown. Yeah, you can hypnotize to someone to walk like a chicken, but you can't hypnotize them to death. Yeah. Survival instinct's too strong. Because the Sycorax leader says something like, "We allow them to live." He was like, "Allow."
It is, yeah.
Yeah. So the Sycorax are essentially bluffing. The leader says they can still conquer Earth by force, essentially.
The Armada, yeah.
Force. By force with an Armada. This is when the Doctor goes in this thing about, the humans need to be left alone, and he's quoting the Lion King. He's not really having it, is he? So the Doctor basically challenges him to trial by combat, more or less.
Yeah.
I challenge you, and
struck a
chord. So he kind of goads him into the fight, doesn't he, by insulting him in Sycoraxic. I don't know it well enough to try it.
I can mean Carla Bell Salaki or something.
Yeah. Carla Tech.
Carla. Oh. No, that's a good episode, actually. That's all right, yeah.
So the Doctor and the Sycorax leader have this sword fight. I said this whilst we were watching it, very reliant on the editing.
Yeah.
Because I feel like what the example I gave whilst we were watching it was, I bet if you were watching this unbroken from like a long shot, it would look like Ben Kenobi and Darth Vader in A New Hope, having this really like stiff, because the swords are way too big to be practical for sword fighting. They're like Zweihanders. They're like great swords. They're not like actual practical sword fighting swords. So I bet it would be really awkward to watch unbroken. So the editing's doing a lot of heavy lifting here. But as it is in the episode, it's good. Yeah, it's fine.
Nice. Yeah.
The battle ends up going outside onto the wing of the ship.
Yeah.
And the Sycorax leader knocks the Doctor over and cuts his hand off, and we see his hand and the sword fall down to the East End of London below.
How do they find that? Because that's obviously a running thing through Tennant's first run. Well, it pops up in the finales.
Yeah, I'm going to assume that...
It's Jack who finds it, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm going to assume... Well, we don't... Is it Jack that finds it, or the Torchwood find it and Jack just claims it later? So I imagine if Torchwood have the ability to scan for alien tech...
They find a hand.
Yeah. It makes you wonder, how would they have the ability to scan for alien tech? Maybe. We know the Sycorax ship has the ability to scan for alien tech, and it gets destroyed over Earth.
Maybe.
So maybe Torchwood actually find the technology that allows them to scan for alien tech, and then they find the Doctor's hand.
Maybe, but, they could just use whatever else they've got left over from the Death Star. going by the laser that comes out at the end,
Yeah.
They've shot that down.
Yeah. So yeah, the Doctor's hand's been cut off, which I'm sure will never prove to be of consequence.
No.
The leader's obviously going to assume the Doctor's going to yield since he's been disarmed.
Yep. Oh, God.
But the Doctor, as he says, is still within the first 15 hours of his regeneration cycle, which left him with enough residual energy to do this.
Wow.
And he regrows his hand, and the shot of him like wiggling his fingers goes on for just a little too long.
A little bit, yeah.
To the degree where I was looking at his hand while doing it. I know you're kind of meant to like look at his hand, then look up at his face, but because I was just looking at him wiggling his fingers, and I realized the shot goes on for a long time.
Yeah, just stab him.
Yeah.
Just stab him.
Yeah, he essentially can rectify any like anomalies or missing bits with his residual energy.
Well, that's good news, isn't it?
Yeah. What else has he got to him?
Oh, dear.
So Rose throws him a new sword. He says, "This new hand, it's a fighting hand."
I don't like that. I really don't like that bit.
I don't... Is it a reference to something?
Fighting hand. No, it feels like, when Capaldi goes American in the Zygon inversion.
Yeah.
Why are you doing this?
Fingers on buzzers.
Just stop doing American accents.
Yeah. So they fight again. This time the Doctor wins the duel. And he pins the leader down to the edge of the ship. He commands him to leave the planet and never return in exchange for sparing his life. I swear. So he goes, "Right then, thanks for that, big fella." He just puts the sword down and walks away.
I like that.
As the Doctor's walking away, the Sycorax leader gets back up and tries to like attack him from behind, and the Doctor reaches into his pocket and pulls out one of Howard's Satsumas.
Death by Satsuma.
Yeah, throws it at the button. I don't know why that button's there.
Well, it's not just the button. What is that thing? Like, what
I
is
can't explain it. But he throws a Satsuma, it hits the button, essentially creates a trapdoor or something, and the leader falls to his death. What happens to him? I just thought of something.
Oh, yeah.
This doesn't happen, but this should have been the case.
Yeah.
They should have teased this, right? Mm-hmm. There should have been a bit of Sycorax in Van Statten's vault.
Okay, yeah, that would have been a good shout, yeah.
Because Dalek is set in 2012.
Yeah.
And this is 2005. Or 2006, technically, because we're a year ahead from Aliens of London. Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been
I did wonder, what happened to the Sycorax's body? That should have been washed up, and there should, like, the Sycorax mask or something should have been in the exhibit. As, like...
Going from the height that he fell from, I think he's in bits. Little bits. He's made of bone.
He didn't even have the mask on, did he?
Didn't have the mask on. He's in bits. Also, like, Can we just talk about the height of the ship?
Yeah, right. So when we get the shots of the ship flying over London, the ship is obviously very low down because you can see the people on the roof ready to jump, and it looks like it's maybe like 50 feet, 100 feet above their heads.
Yeah.
And then in this shot, it looks like it's a good like couple thousand feet up.
It's over the EastEnders title sequence.
Yes, it is. Yeah. So either the ship's slowly been levitating the whole time, or continuity error. I'll let you take your pick.
It's levitating. It's getting higher because the flim flam.
Yeah, they've been reversing the polarity the whole time.
Yeah, there we go.
They've been confusing the polarity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, some form of flim flam dialogue.
Dingle dongle, dingle dangle.
No.
Jickety doo.
Right, so he's dead.
Yeah, so he's dead. Obviously after he's thrown the Satsuma, he says, "No second chances. I'm that kind of a man."
That's another one.
I feel like it's not consistent enough of a trait of the 10th Doctor for that line to be said.
Yeah,
if he didn't say it, it would be fine, or I'd be okay with him saying it if he was a bit more ruthless. If he was a bit more like 12 is in the beginning.
Yeah, I think it only really pays off in like Human Nature and Family of Blood.
Yeah, or School Reunion.
Oh yeah, he does say to Finch, doesn't he? You get one chance.
Yeah, and then that's it. But again, first like production block.
Block 1, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. But he does give Cassandra like another chance.
Yeah, that's a good point actually. I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of strange.
It sounds cool.
Because
cool.
It does, but it also kind of leaves it a bit ominous. Because you don't feel like, oh, this is a doctor with like who'll give you one chance, and he's not going to be super patient. It makes him come across a bit like a villain.
Well, yeah, it's almost like
it kind of builds a sense of dread around him.
Like it feels like, you know, if you'd put that bit and then you say you just skip to the end of his era and watch Waters of Mars at the end of time,
that would make sense.
It makes sense.
Yeah,
you become this. But I guess because of the way his Doctor ends, and it does feel a bit rushed when we go from Time Lord Victorious to, I just felt my TARDIS and you lock it with my key.
Yeah. So at this point, the Doctor sends the Sycorax on their way with a reminder that planet Earth is defended. Yeah. And they all get transmatted back down to London around the corner. They reunite with Jackie and the Sycorax fly away. Harriet asks the Doctor if there were more aliens out there.
Yeah.
And he says, oh yeah, it's not just them. There's hundreds of species, thousands of them. And, the human race are going to have to get used to it because they're getting recognized more and more. Yeah.
So he's to blame.
You think?
Yeah, well, I mean, if he doesn't say any of this stuff, I mean, he inadvertently, I mean, he's not, goading her to do it, but, I could just be saying that because what happens to Harriet Jones, I just think it's horrible.
Yeah, but again, this is the 10th Doctor problem, isn't it? Because I don't think any other version would have done this.
I guess.
I don't think 9 would have done this. And I think of 9 generally as having less patience than 10, but I don't think 9 would have done this.
She shouldn't have done it.
No. But at the same time, again, I think it's 10's arrogance that has him this thing of I could dismantle your entire thing in 6 words.
6 words, yeah. And then I wish they did lean into this a bit more when we do get to that point, but because Harriet Jones is Golden Age doesn't happen and Harriet Jones is taken down, the Master then comes in and is able to become Prime Minister, basically.
But if you think about that, this is very ironic, right? So not only is the Master able to come in and do his thing, but because the Master was able to be Prime Minister in the first place, that's why Joshua Naismith was able to recognize him as a homeless man. Meaning that the Doctor's choice here to essentially, what's the word?
Bring down
Harriet Jones led to his death.
Yeah, I guess. I would that is definitely a link, but I don't think it's like a deliberate one.
No, absolutely not. But
I wish it was.
But I think that's really interesting. That if he hadn't done this, those series of events wouldn't have happened.
Yeah. No, I wish that was brought up. I think Vivian Rook briefly mentions it in Sound of Drums. He, like she says, we see his first physical, honest to God appearance.
Yeah.
Soon after the downfall of Harriet Jones, which was that.
Yeah.
But it would have just been nice if it was referenced a bit more.
Yeah. So, yeah, after the doctor says, you're getting noticed, this is something that, that you'll have to get used to, Alex receives a phone call and tells Harriet that Torchwood is ready. This is kind of the start of the Torchwood arc. I know technically the first time Torchwood is referenced is in Bad Wolf as part of the Weakest Link quiz, but obviously that was just, at that point, Torchwood was just like the code name for Doctor Who, wasn't it, while they were filming Series 1, being an anagram. But this is the first time that we actually get a reference to Torchwood as something in universe, like an entity. So Harriet gives the order to fire. The Doctor and friends essentially watch the Death Star beam fire up and destroy the ship. Doctor's angry, says that was murder. She tries to justify it by basically saying that you're not always here and sometimes we need to defend ourselves.
Yeah, and
it makes sense. It was the wrong thing to do, but I totally understand why she did it, and I don't think it's out of character for her.
No, this is the thing I think with Harriet Jones, and they don't really mention this in the commentary, but I get a lot of links with Margaret Thatcher,
right?
Not just because she's a female prime minister, mainly because. So I don't know how much you know about like the Falklands War.
Not much.
But there's the sinking of the Belgrano, which Margaret Thatcher orders a ship on the Argentine side to be shot and blown up, basically, even though it's either going in the wrong direction or it isn't necessarily posing a threat.
Yeah.
Which to me, it really occurred to me while we were watching, like, oh, that's an interesting.
There's a parallel.
I don't know if that's what Russell's going for, and that's just my reading, but it almost seems, by the way that her government is then brought down, is don't you think she looks tired? Yeah, that's how Margaret Thatcher's government essentially was spoken about, and like, oops, she's had her time, basically. Yeah. So Russell does like you've just done Aliens of London, World War III. Russell loves his. Yeah, I guess commentary. The thing as well, not just with Doctor Who or Russell, but any medium, any kind of like film, TV show, art form, is that thing of whether or not it was intentional, your interpretation is still valid. And that's why certain filmmakers who tend to do a lot of abstract stuff and leave things ambiguous. I know a lot of people go on YouTube and they type whatever the name of the movie is, explained, and then the directors will not elaborate on it, and people get a bit sort of sulky with it. It's like, why won't you just explain why is everything so cryptic? And it's like, well, for that reason, because once someone explains what the intention is, that's it, it's set in stone. Where if there's no explanation and you have to do the thinking for yourself, then you could have 5 different people all with different interpretations and they're all right. I would be interested to know if other people would agree with that, and if they do, is it subtle? I mean, it's definitely more subtle than aliens talking out of their backsides by farting, Yeah. Which I don't really mind too much, but,
Oh, that's no fun.
Oh, dear. But anyway, she's obviously... He brings her down with them 6 words, which have become a meme. Yeah. I remember was it Liz Truss? When she was going... Yeah. Don't you think she looks tired?
Yeah. Yeah. What I thought was interesting is when, after the laser destroys the ship, Harriet says that it was made from alien technology, engineered from a crashed spaceship that landed 10 years ago.
So 1996, I gather.
Year of the TV movie.
Oh, does anything happen in that?
Well, that's I've not seen it yet. So my question to you is, does like a ship crash or anything in the TV movie that could have links to?
Not really. Also the TV movie is set in 1999.
Oh, is it?
It came out in 96, but it's yeah.
Well, there goes my theory. I thought that would have been fun.
It would have been fun, but it's probably
just a throwaway.
Yeah. Some off-world.
What should be like actually a really deep cut reference to like a VGA novel or something?
Yeah, some kind of like extra BBC video thing or something.
Yeah.
No, and knowing Russell, I think he knows his deep cut references.
Yeah. Yeah, she basically says to the Doctor, "You're not always here to save us. I just watched Llewellyn and Blake get killed in front of me while you were asleep."
Valid.
Yeah. Harsh. Hard, like valid, but also like she's basically saying you're having a nap while I watch people die.
Yeah, but it highlights her point,
Yeah. The Doctor says I gave him the wrong message. I should have told them to run because the real monsters, the human race, are coming.
Oh,
bleak.
Harsh.
Bleak. Again, harsh but valid.
I quite like that it's not just a purely happy ending.
Yeah. Because I think the actual vibe of the final moments are happy, but it's...
I think that's the same with actually, except maybe Church on Ruby Road. All of Russell's Christmas specials.
That's true.
They're all very bittersweet, aren't they?
Yeah. So this is the mistake Harriet makes. I don't think it's actually destroying the ship.
It's goading him.
It's saying, does that make you another alien threat?
Oh, you think it's that? I think it's a bit further on when she go. I think that doesn't help. But I think it's when she goes. He says, I don't think. She says, I don't think you can bring me down with one word. And he goes, okay, 6. And because before that he says, I could bring your government down.
Yeah.
And after she goes, you can't do that. He goes, okay, 6. And then he goes and does it.
Yes, that's true. That's a good point. Yeah.
Stop talking, Harriet.
Yeah. So he says, of course, don't you think she looks tired? I love that she's going, what did he say? He's like, well, I don't know. Nothing really.
Yeah. Yeah. I've always, it's objectively great, but, you know, Phil Collinson, the producer, finds it, he didn't want that to happen to Harriet Jones. And, you know, there's that final...
I don't think any of us wanted it to happen to Harriet Jones, but...
The Doctor's right, though. She's basically a murderer.
Yeah, but at the same time, you do understand her logic. And you know full well, if this were to happen in real life, that would happen.
And, you know...
You know there's no way that any official in power would not have pressed that button.
True. And, you know, it I guess in the end it proves that she was right because, you know, the Doctor in the Stolen Earth, it all...
Yep.
He's not there. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And that bit when they're all walking off and she's just left saying, I'm sorry. She's like...
Oh, it's heartbreaking. Penelope Wilson, like, is very, very good in this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She just lost her husband as well due to a zombie apocalypse, you know.
Yeah. She lost the Jag.
Oh, no.
Yeah, everyone essentially leaves without saying a word, don't they? Everyone says one way. She's calling after the Doctor and no one's saying anything. Again, this is the Doctor's ego, I think.
Yeah.
You know, coming into play. But yeah, this is now where the happy music starts. We get Song for 10.
Song for 10, yeah.
For the first time. I know we said this like during the episode, but this is a different mix, certainly, than the one that's on the soundtrack.
Yeah.
You did some research, didn't you? And you said they wrote another verse afterwards.
So, yeah, this one's sung by, I think, someone called Gary Williams.
Yeah.
Not Neil Hannon.
Yeah. I like this one better.
I prefer this one.
I like the vocals, like the mixing of the vocals better.
Yeah, I agree. But I think when they released the soundtrack, it was series 1 and 2.
Yes.
So Murray writes that final verse for it. Which
yes.
is a reference. I can't remember exactly the lyrics, but I think is, I woke up today and you were on the other side. Our time will never come again. And that's a reference to Rose and the Doctor
in Doomsday.
Yeah. And obviously, I think we mentioned that Nine's line in the hologram is in it as well.
Yeah, have a good life.
Have a good life, do it for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like Song for 10, and it starts the
well, I woke up today.
Semi-tradition of a Christmas episode having a
unique piece of music in the score written for it.
What's your favourite one?
Stowaway.
Not the Goblin song?
Not the Goblin song.
No?
Funnily enough, no. I think it's either Song for 10 or the Stowaway.
I think it's the Stowaway. I think
Stowaway's very Fairy Tale New York, isn't it?
It's a Christmas song.
Yes.
Like, I would listen to that.
So that's true. Song for 10 feels more like just a Doctor Who song, where Stowaway leans more into the holiday, I think.
Yeah, so you can listen to the Stowaway at Christmas.
Yeah, you could genuinely listen to it in a Christmas playlist, and if you didn't know it was from Doctor Who, you probably wouldn't think anything of it. You just think it was a Christmas song.
Yeah, that's true. I wonder if there's like any references in that at all.
Almost certainly.
It's like, I can't really remember what the lyrics are for that one. But you're not a fan of Love Don't Roam? That's Neil Hannon again, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I prefer Song for 10.
Well, it's more to do with the Doctor, I guess. Love Don't Roam is... You listen to that at a wedding, evidently. You can listen to that at a wedding. You can listen to the Stowaway at Christmas, Song for 10 when you're walking down the street and want to feel a bit cocky, and the Goblin song at a funeral.
God, the Goblin song is so bad. I'm sorry, Murray. I love your work, but that might be your worst.
Really? What about There's Always a Twist at the End?
I'm okay with it.
Yeah?
Yeah. Its inclusion in the episode's a bit... I don't think it's Murray's fault, though. I think that's more Russell's fault. But the song itself, I think, is catchy as hell.
It is very catchy, but... Why?
It's fine.
Could have been a Beatles song, you know. Anyway,
Again, Russell's fault.
For another day.
It's not Murray's fault.
Yeah.
Goblin song, though, bad.
Yeah, okay, fine, fair enough.
So now the Doctor is in the TARDIS wardrobe. He's looking for his new outfit that he's going to wear for this incarnation. You said to me yourself that obviously there are references to previous Doctor's costumes in the wardrobe as he's looking through his clothes.
Yeah, apparently in the commentary, they said the mill spent a lot, because a lot of Doctor Who fans work in the mill who do like the CGI shots.
Right.
Apparently they spent way too much time on it, and they've put a reference to every Doctor's costume in there, essentially.
Well, I have something.
Okay.
Which is, there's a section towards the beginning of the sequence where he's like comparing coats, and one of the things he pulls up is actually the outfit that David Tennant wore in Casanova.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay, that's quite cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think that's fun.
Oh no, that is fun. That's a lovely little reference. Because obviously he got the job basically off the back of that. Didn't he? RTD wrote Casanova.
Yeah, he's got that, that red outfit with like the kind of frilly white bit in the middle. Yeah. He's literally holding that and he's comparing it to another coat.
Oh, right, okay. No, I didn't know that. Interestingly, the scarf he's got around his neck as well is Phil Collinson's scarf, because he asked for it to be put in the scene, because I think his auntie knitted it when he was younger, when he was a Doctor Who fan.
Oh, that's sweet.
But he just thought, can you put this in the scene, because it'd be nice. He didn't expect them to put it around David Tennant's neck, basically.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, there's some nice little moments in there.
Whilst the Doctor's picking his outfit, Jackie, Mickey and Rose were having Christmas dinner in the flat, and then the Doctor shows up at the door in his new pinstripe brown suit, white Converse,
there he is,
trench coat. That's him. Immediately you see him, that's him. There's that shot, isn't there, where he's still in the TARDIS, where he looks in the mirror and he's checking himself out, and you can tell he's thinking, I can work with this. I think this is nice as well, because obviously they all have dinner together and they're like pulling crackers and stuff.
I think that scene.
And I'm immediately drawn back to the end of World War III, where Jackie asks if the Doctor will have dinner, and she's asking, what does he eat, safety pins and whatever.
Yeah.
And he says, no, he'll have shepherd's pie or whatever she's cooking.
Yeah.
And he says, no, I don't do that. I don't have dinner with family. Don't make it domestic and all that stuff.
And
then here he is.
It feels like a proper family.
The question is, does this feel more like the Doctor's grown since then and now he will do this? Or does this feel more like this incarnation will do it? I think that's the only like kind of issue. It comes less like the Doctor is he's either grown since then or he's gotten close with the Tylers, and it seems more like, the new Doctor does it.
I think it's the new Doctor does it. That's the impression I've got anyway.
You don't think Nine would have done it at the end of Parting of the Ways if he hadn't died?
I don't.
That would have. I'd love to see that. I just love to see him have a nice dinner.
No, that would be nice. But
more Eccleston is what I want.
I couldn't see it happening. Basically, if there was a series 2, maybe with Eccleston, then maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
they're having dinner together. On the TV in the background, you can see Harriet is basically fending off rumours about her ill health and a pending vote of no confidence in the House of Commons.
Yeah.
Doctor puts on his glasses for the first time, his little nerdy specs that I almost certainly wanted a pair of as a kid.
Who doesn't? He made glasses cool, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was cool. I think before that as well, there's a lovely little scene when he actually walks in the door, and not scene, but bit where just Rose and the Doctor just look at each other.
Yeah, they look at each other and she smiles at him and he smiles back. Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah. Is it Rose or Jackie? One of them gets a phone call to say, go outside.
It's Jackie.
Yeah. Jackie gets a phone call and says, go outside. And they go outside and it appears to be snowing over London. And there's shooting stars, and the Doctor points out, no, it's not shooting stars, that's a piece of the spaceship breaking up in the atmosphere, and it's not snow, it's ash.
Never snows, apparently.
It does one time, doesn't it? What's the episode it snows, and he actually says, oh, wow, it's actually nice to see real snow.
I think, isn't it Planet of the Ood, though, when he goes, oh, real proper snow?
Yeah, I think you're right.
It is snowing at the end of Time, Part 2, though.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is when the Doctor basically says that this is a new start for Earth, but, so many people saw the Sycorax ship and everything happened. There's no covering up the existence of aliens now. But, yeah, Rose says, so what are you going to do now? And he says, hop back in the TARDIS, same old life, seeing stuff and exploring. They have this kind of weird little interaction where Rose says, what, on your own? And he says, what, don't you want to come? And she says, no, I thought because you changed, I didn't think you'd want me to come.
Which, again, going back to Born Again, one of the nice little bits in that. God, that feels like ages ago now.
Yeah.
I just realised how long we've been talking. But in that, they go, he goes, do you want to go home? And then she goes, do you want me to go home? And that's
Yeah.
if you watch them back to back, I think that's a nice little ending bit to say.
Yeah, it's kind of like a nice little bookend for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, they essentially agree, we're going to go on together. This is when Mickey has this thing of like, you're never going to stay, are you? And she says, I can't. There's just so much out there.
Which, you know, I mean, if they had that scene where it's implied that they spent the night together, that would have felt awful.
I think you're right. Because I say this comes across less like Mickey being jealous like it would have in series 1.
Yeah.
And more like he's just disappointed that... I think he's kind of given up on her being a romantic partner now, and he's just kind of sees her as a very close friend.
Yeah. Yeah.
Either that, or he still sees her as a romantic partner, but he knows he'll never be able to live up to what the Doctor is.
Yeah.
So he knows that even though she doesn't love him, it's not going to stop him from loving her.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that all comes to a head, obviously.
Which kind of is more sad.
It is a bit sad.
This is when the Doctor looks up into the sky and he's going to choose a star for them to go to next. And he says, over there. And he basically assures her that it will be fantastic.
Yes.
And he kind of wiggles his fingers and they hold hands.
Still creepy.
Yeah.
And then that's it.
Yeah, that's basically it.
Christmas Invasion. Obviously, started the tradition of at Christmas we can then have a trailer.
Yes, trailer for the upcoming series.
Which I think was the most exciting part of Christmas for me, of the Christmas special.
Well, that's the thing, yeah. So you said this was your first episode. So when you see this trailer for Series 2 coming up now, this is going to be your first glimpse into... Tune in again to see more of this.
More of that, yeah.
And
no special effects. No CGI in there because...
But it's funny because you told me that, but if you hadn't said that, I wouldn't have noticed.
Yeah, no, the only reason again, the commentary, but they mentioned they hadn't got around to adding them in, so you've obviously got K9 spinning around, but no lasers.
Yeah.
You won't see any Krillitanes.
Yeah, you see Anthony Head in his like human form, but no actual like Krillitane models, yeah. You get the Cybermen.
Oh, yeah. I remember seeing that and going, ooh, that you can tell that's something.
Yeah.
I didn't know what they were as a kid, but...
You see the werewolf guy with his black contacts, but you don't actually see the wolf. Yeah. I wouldn't have noticed, but it goes to show how good the practical effects are and how compelling just the stories are in general, that you don't need it.
Yeah, there's never like a lot in them trailers in terms of like where are these stories heading.
Yeah,
it's always just like
people running.
We've got running, we've got lasers,
we've got running, monsters and explosions.
Yeah,
and then normally one ominous line at the end,
or a flash of a Dalek or Cyberman or something. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, that's essentially it. In terms of just little tidbits, this is nice as obviously David Tennant is credited as the Doctor.
The Doctor, not
Doctor Who.
And apparently he's the one that requested that.
Yeah, I believe a similar thing happened with Peter Davison.
Yes, that rings a bell, but I'm in two minds better because, he is called the Doctor. But Doctor Who is very like...
it's iconic, isn't it?
Tom Baker wasn't called the Doctor, he was called Doctor Who.
Yeah, I think that's the difference between people who watch the show and people that don't.
Yeah.
People that don't watch the show would say, who is your favourite Doctor Who?
Yes. Who's your favourite Doctor Who? There you go. I mean, yeah, if you asked a random person on the street, obviously they would know.
Wait, someone who watches the show would say, who is your favourite Doctor in Doctor Who?
Yes. But if you just ask them, who's your favourite Doctor? Watson? I don't know,
Yeah, my local GP. I know we said this when we were watching it, but obviously the Middle Eight section of the theme tune's restored in this episode. It's heard for the first time in the Revive series. I love the Middle Eight bit.
So
it's
good.
Great. And obviously this was the first episode to use the BBC National Orchestra of Wales.
And you definitely notice
100%.
And thank God.
I think the Series 1 soundtrack is kind of underrated in general. There are some good pieces in there, and I think considering he didn't have an orchestra and all the strings and brass and stuff is all MIDI and it's all synthesized, you wouldn't necessarily notice.
Yeah.
But once you hear the orchestra next to it, like when you just listen to Series 1 and then you watch Series 2 and you hear it, and then it's so noticeable how much more like energy and oomph there is to all the music.
Yeah. I think it's good. Obviously, I think, not a lot of tracks carried over to this one, I don't think, except the Doctor's theme, or as Russell calls it, President Flavia's song.
President what?
Flavia. So this is a deep cut thing that he mentions in the commentary, I think.
Right.
So you know that scene when the Doctor's lying on the... Am I talking? Yeah, here we go.
I was trying to find the front of the mic.
So you know when he's lying on the floor, the tea's like...
Yeah, dripping.
Yeah. Stephen, and then he does the Doctor's theme.
Yes.
Russell calls it President Flavia's song because... So President Flavia So Flavia was a character who briefly appeared in The Five Doctors, but she was
Right.
called Chancellor Flavia. She didn't become president until in offshoots of like Big Finish and all that
Right,
stuff.
okay.
And I think his theory is something around that she's the one singing that, basically.
Oh,
and she's
good
like
God.
haunted the TARDIS or something along them lines anyway.
Yeah, not Sutek.
Oh, don't.
Sutek's here for the, while the Doctor is just having his kip in the TARDIS and the Sycorax are arguing outside, Sutek is just chilling there.
Oh, God.
I want to make this a thing, actually, now. Whilst we go through this series, every time the TARDIS is in a weird position, a weird circumstance, I can't wait to just go, Sutek's there. He's just shaking his head at me.
The one that I've thought of is Beryllium for 24 years. He just sat there.
He's just being a third wheel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Oh.
He's so bored.
Poor big dog. But anyway,
What about Journey's End?
he gets a bit hot in that, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He just drops down. Anyway, that's one you can do. Your favourite position of Sutek. Oh, maybe not, actually.
I wonder where that sentence is going.
No.
I was thinking of as well, when in Listen, when the Doctor's just kind of cross-legged on the roof of the TARDIS.
He's sitting on Sutek.
Yeah. Or when Yaz and 13 are doing it as well, eating their ice cream.
He's going, what am I doing?
What a weird payoff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you want to talk about Attack of the Grask?
We can do.
Yeah. Won't take long.
No.
But obviously, Series 2 was when the BBC started to push the marketing of the show a lot more. This is when we started getting the TARDIS-odes and stuff, I think.
Yes.
Doctor Who Confidential started here. No? Series 3?
Doctor Who Confidential started Series 1.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, so they took a bit of a gamble. Basically, so I think Christmas Invasion is the only one not to have an actual dedicated confidential.
Right.
Christmas TV.
Yeah.
So the only behind the scenes stuff of that was on the Series 2 box set.
Oh, right. Interesting.
No, sorry, Series 1 box set, and it was like an extra little bit that you could find.
Yeah, so obviously because the BBC were pushing marketing and stuff at the time, they were doing like the TARDIS-odes, which were like really short, like kind of preludes to the episodes and stuff. And one of the things they did along with the Children in Need special was a BBC, I think it was a BBC red button thing.
Yeah.
Which I don't know how many of you remember that, but you press the red button on your remote and you would get taken to an additional thing. I think you had to pay for it.
I can't remember.
Because I remember my parents used to have Sky and they had like games and stuff on there, but you'd have to pay.
I don't know. With the BBC, I'm not 100% sure.
I'm not 100%, but because I never did it as a kid. But one of the things they did on the BBC Red Button was a game, in quotes. It was more like an interactive kind of like Decide Your Destiny kind of thing, where it was called Attack of the Grask, and it basically had the 10th Doctor in the TARDIS. You kind of jumped on board as kind of a temporary companion, and there was a video of David Tennant obviously running around talking to you, and he would basically give you choices, and you'd say, pick this or pick this, and then the video would play out based on the consequences. It's only short, it's about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And anyone who's seen the Sarah Jane Adventures will recognise the Grask as what the trickster's kind of little gremlin friend.
The Grask is just anything.
Yeah.
Like,
I think this technically was his first appearance.
Yes.
This is before Sarah Jane, 'cause obviously school reunion hadn't happened yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the Grask is essentially a shape-shifting alien. It's on Earth posing as a human, and you and the Doctor have to work together to try and sort it out, basically.
It's a really good idea, I think.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't think it exists anymore. So you can go onto YouTube and you can find obviously the videos of people like making the choices. It's not available on, obviously, because the BBC Red Button's not a thing anymore, and it used to be on the BBC website, but I think it's off there now.
That's where I played it.
So you can either watch it on YouTube, or I actually played it about a week ago. A fan has done a reconstruction.
Oh, wow, okay. That's cool.
I can't remember what the website's called, but I just Googled Attack of the Grask, and it's like third link down or something.
I wonder if they've done any of the other games, because there's that one, it's Dalek Escape, or
yes.
I really want to play that again. That was great.
But there's like a fan reconstruction where I assume what they've done is essentially gotten all the clips from the YouTube video, and they've just made an interactive game to make it click this and it plays this video type of thing.
That makes sense.
So yeah, you can play it reconstructed, or you can just watch it. in clips if that's what you prefer.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's essentially this thing of like you get to fly the TARDIS for a little bit. It's like the Doctor tells you what certain parts of the console are called.
Go on then.
Or you want me to get that up?
No. I want you to see if you can remember what they are.
Oh God, no. What I swear one is like dimensional stabilizer or something.
Yeah.
Oh, good God. I can't remember which one that is. That might just be like the handbrake thing.
That's
the thing
the
you
lever
pull.
one, yeah.
The lever you pull.
Yeah.
You know these?
I do.
Oh, no. Okay. One of them had a really dumb name. It was like the circular one, the spinny one. I can't remember what it's called.
That's the stupid one. Vector
I don't know. Give it to me.
tracker.
Is it? No, that's not the one I'm thinking of. The vector tracker was one. What was the other one?
The pump.
What's the pump called?
Vortex loop.
Vortex. Oh, yeah.
By the way, I watched it last night. That's the only reason I remember it. It wasn't just that I knew this
You
one
don't
as a
just
kid.
know that off the top of your head.
No, that would be very niche.
Yeah. But yeah, the Doctor tells you what these parts of the TARDIS console are called, and he'll say, right, when I tell you, you need to press the right thing, and then he'll say vortex loop, and then you got to like press the right thing.
And it's harder than you think because
The time he gives you is really short. You got to be really quick.
and like you do have to remember the names.
Yeah.
They're not
It
labeled.
doesn't give you help or hints
Yeah.
or anything. And yeah, because the grass can shapeshift, there's this thing where you kind of hack into like a family television set and you're watching them in a room, and there's like, 3 kids, a mum, a dad, and like a grandparent or something. And one of them you're told is the grass, and you have to work out who it is.
Yeah.
I won't say, just in case anyone actually wants to do it. But yeah, there's another part later on where the grass is hiding and you have to pick, like, the camera kind of tracks through a location, you have to keep an eye out for it, and you have to point out where it is, things like that. It's a fun little thing. It's, like I say, it's not like mind-blowing or anything, but for a fun little interactive thing, you can imagine back in 2006 or whenever that came out.
I think, yeah.
You know, I can imagine I didn't have internet at the time, so I would have had to go over to the public library.
Go to Jackie Tyler's house on the dial-up.
Oh, God. I didn't even have dial-up then.
No. I don't even know if we did.
I would have had to go
Probably
over to
not.
the library to use their computer and play it on there, and I almost certainly would have had a blast doing it, because I was that kid where if I liked something, I would just buy anything to do with it.
Yeah.
Like any like film or TV show I liked that had like a video game tie-in for the PlayStation, I would buy. And most of them were rubbish, but not to me.
No, yeah.
I've gone back to them since and realized they're rubbish, but I was like, I had a video game of like Knight Rider, and it was rubbish. But honestly, because I like Knight Rider, and it was just a game of Knight Rider, I loved it.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of like that. So I know I would have loved this.
No, yeah. It was a fun little thing. I think the reason I remember playing it so much is because the Doctor Who website you could get in primary school, even though other websites were blocked.
Oh, because it was BBC, you think?
Because it was BBC,
Yeah.
it was classed as educational, so you could play all the Doctor Who games. And I
That's
remember,
great.
I know it was during that time like most kids watched Doctor Who, but those even those that didn't, you'd catch them playing games like this, like Into the Dalek, not Into the Dalek, but the Dalek game.
Yes.
The Create Your Own Trailer. I don't know if you remember that one.
No, I never did
I think that came out around Series 3, but yeah.
Was it just all the strange creatures playing in the background? Was it?
Literally, yes. And then you could choose little individual clips to add in.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's about it. Do you have anything else?
Nothing. I just overall thoughts on it.
Overall thoughts on the Christmas Invasion. I think it's not one of, like, when I think of my favorite Christmas specials, it's not one that comes to mind. I know we talked about this earlier, not about the Christmas Invasion specifically, but we talked about some episodes that, obviously one we weren't recording, that we don't think of as being like great episodes, but when we're watching it, there's so many little moments in it, you're like, oh, I actually really enjoy this. And I feel like the Christmas Invasion is one of those.
I agree. I think I should hold it in more
High regard.
because it's the first one,
Yeah.
and I was hooked immediately by it.
Yeah.
But it's not my first proper Doctor Who story in terms of this isn't a Doctor Who run around. This isn't your
it's
meat
not
and potatoes Doctor Who.
Yeah.
There's not a quarry in sight, or
Yeah.
But I think out of the Christmas specials, it's probably up there. I mean, it's
Is
not
it a
my
top 5?
Yeah, it'll definitely be a
I'm
top
trying to
5.
think, because there's some bad Christmas specials, but there are some good ones as well. I'm just trying to think. Yeah, it probably is.
Maybe 5 or 4.
Do you know, I think all of Russell's Christmas specials might be in my top 5.
I bet Last Christmas.
Yeah, that'll be in there too.
Oh, I see. Oh, yeah.
Because Russell's only had, well, not End of Time Part 1, not that one. That was
Church on
bad.
Ruby Road.
Or that one.
Okay.
So I'd say Christmas Invasion, Runaway Bride,
Yeah.
Voyage of the Damned, Last Christmas, and A Christmas Carol.
Oh, forgot about Christmas Carol, but I like Husbands of River Song.
I like the last 15 minutes of the Husbands of River
I
Song.
like the last 45 minutes of Husbands of River Song.
I love the Doctor and Rivers. Obviously, Last Night in Beryllium. I like the restaurant scene.
Yeah.
I like all that stuff, but the whole thing with Hydroflax and just all the innuendos with River.
Okay.
I don't find River being a sex pest very funny.
I'll let you come along to that one because you've got a while before you reach that, I think.
Yeah. But
overall Christmas Invasion, I think,
I think if I were to rate it, and I know this sounds harsh, but I'd probably give it like a 6.
I think 6.
6 out of 10. I know that sounds harsh, but like it's Doctor Who has such high highs when it's really good. I don't think this is that good, but I'd say it's an above average episode.
I can't really think of too much it does wrong.
No, it's just like I say, it's not necessarily something this does wrong. It's just knowing it can do the good things better.
Yeah, I can agree with that. However, it's got a good monster.
Yeah, the Sycorax is great. I think I do have a Sycorax Eagle Mox figure somewhere. I
I
think
can see him up there.
Yeah, he's hiding behind Cassandra over there. I'm just going to throw out as well, because I know for anyone listening who actually pays that much attention, during Aliens of London World War III, Charlotte asked me if I had the Space Pig Eagle Moss figure, and I said I don't. And since then, Charlotte has bought me the Space Pig Eagle Moss figure. So he's sitting on a shelf right across from me, and he's very small and very cute.
Oh, bless him.
Oh, he's such a sad squeak.
Cool. Sad squeak.
Yeah, when we get shot.
Oh, don't. That's a traumatic memory when I watch that back. God.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking. Worse than Harriet Jones. That.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
But, anything else?
No, I think,
I think we've covered a lot. How long have we been going?
I don't want to know.
Ooh, 2 hours and 26 minutes.
Oh, gee whiz. And these normally last, what?
Normally about 90 minutes per episode. Granted, this one is 15 minutes longer than usual.
Okay. I think we should leave it there then.
Yeah, good point.
Well, since we're watching it around Christmas, I'll say Merry Christmas to you. I know this won't come out until...
Yeah, so we're recording this around Christmas time. This won't be going up at Christmas, but yes, it's Christmas for us right now. But yeah, with that in mind, I guess thank you all for listening. I certainly hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to leave a like down below if you did enjoy. You can subscribe to keep up with more of this stuff. You can follow us over on Spotify if that's easier for you, or you can check it out on YouTube, whatever's easier really. But until then, stay safe. I guess next episode we'll be covering New York. Yeah, until then, stay safe, stay away from blood control, and goodbye.
Bye-bye.